The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and Your Sports Network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow alone. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Welcome into a Monday edition of Running Point on ysnlive.com. Ron Potesta with you alongside Anthony Hartwig. The MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline open for business. 330-886-0813. That's 330-886-0813. All right, so it took me a little while as to why you were wearing the Chiefs gear today, because today is the home opener for the Indians, and they're playing the Royals. I was expecting you to be decked out in Royals gear, and then it dawned on me.
Any normal day we would, but today's a special day on Running Point.
Yeah, it dawned on me that today we are going to be speaking with one of your people, Valley native Donald Delisio, Mooney grad. Last time we saw him in the area, he was the co-defensive coordinator the last year of the Bo Pelini era at Youngstown State. He followed Bo to LSU, where he worked with Bo on the LSU defense. They were both let go after, well, Bo was let go after 1 year at LSU. Donald Delisio is now on to the National Football League, where he is a defensive assistant coach with your Kansas City Chiefs. Hence the reason why you're decked out in your god-awful Chiefs gear. So we can talk about...
You better leave that animosity at the door.
So Donald Delisio will be calling in at about 12:15, and we will talk about his journey into the National Football League.
He's going to get a warm welcome into the kingdom.
Oh, I'm sure he will.
Let's go.
I'm sure he will. I got to figure out what a defensive assistant coach is. Who is he assisting? Is he assisting the coordinator, the defensive line coach, the linebacker coach, the DB coach? Who's he assisting?
One of many questions.
Yeah, it's. I think it's a great move for him.
But we also have a ton to talk about. YSU sports had a great weekend. You know, high school baseball, softball was in full gear. We finally got some good weather over the weekend. And then we'll talk about this with Dana. An interesting survey sent out to the Ohio State football coaches, Ohio State high school football coaches, trying to get their gauge on how many teams they want in the playoffs. So that 12, not exactly an exact number, as it seems.
Okay, so who sent out that survey? Did the OHSAA send that survey out?
The OHF...
Ohio High School Football Coaches.
Yeah, the OH. Always get all these acronyms. The OHFCA. I get that right?
Ohio High School Football Coaches.
OHSFCA.
Okay, Ohio High School Football Coaches Association.
Yeah,
all
sent
right.
out a survey to all the high school football coaches in the state of Ohio, and we'll talk about that with Dana a little bit later.
Yeah, now, from what we understand from the OHSAA, they are saying, hey, top 12 teams, that was the deal prior to COVID last year when they flipped and decided to shorten the season, put everyone in the playoffs, and that was an interesting scenario that Ohio had, but now I don't think it's feasible to do that anymore. They want to keep the 10-game schedule. So they want to go ahead with the 12 teams. This outfit wants to figure out if 16 is better than 12. I don't think the OHSAA would bark very much if you added 8 teams instead of 4 and just had everyone playing an extra week of football instead of the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th seeds.
But the happy medium, because a lot of teams that either opted out of the playoffs or knew they didn't have a business in the play, liked having the 10 games. And so if you cut their season to 8 and say everyone gets in, but they know, we're going to go get beat up 48-0, you're really cutting their season short. So it'll be interesting to see. This is like a happy, if a lot of the coaches like 16, it's kind of a happy medium between 12 and everyone gets in. I think 12 is pushing it already. In my opinion.
Yeah, you're going to get a blowout in the first round. I mean, we were already getting blowouts.
But most of the time, you already do with 8s sometimes. But we had a couple of surprises in the first round last year, so you never know. But it'll be interesting to see how the coaches respond to this and what they think, because that's really what they're taking on.
Yeah,
is.
and we have a lot to talk with Dana about. Obviously, Saturday night, the YSU football team didn't exactly endear themselves, losing to previously winless Western Illinois. That was a step backward for the Penguins. Now Western Illinois, give them all the credit in the world. They played unbelievable football, especially in the second half. They outplayed Youngstown State, and dare I say, they outcoached Youngstown State as well in the second half of that game to pick up their first victory of the season. Penguins back at it against Missouri State on Saturday. That'll be Missouri State's last game of the season. And then the Penguins will make up the game that they lost to North Dakota a few weeks back. They will play on April the 17th at Stambaugh. That's a 12 noon start. So we'll talk with Dana about that. Also, Division 4 and Division 3 all boys. All-State has been announced. Cam Hollabaugh from Warren JFK, first team All-State. Jake Portalease from McDonald, second team All-State. Nick Church from Bristol, special mention in Division 4. Division 3, Joey Klein from Newton Falls made second team All-State. Michael Pellini from Mooney made special mention. Honorable mention including Adam Worry from Springfield, Drake Golden from Crestview. A little disappointed with the very small numbers for the boys in All-State, but there's an awful lot of talent this year in basketball.
And once again, it's largely based on how that district went and how the all-district team went down. Because if you're not on the first team all-district, you're probably not going to be on at least the first or second teams of All-State, and you'll probably get on special mention or honorable mention, because Columbus leans heavily on how the district votes their players. So Cam Hollabaugh won the district player of the year, I believe. Or
yes.
At least he was at least first
he
team.
did.
So obviously he's going to be automatic first team All-Ohio. That's just how it works.
Also, congratulations to the YSU women's bowling team. This is a first, although they would have probably qualified for the NCAA tournament last year had COVID not ruined everything. This year, they are in the NCAA tournament, and they will be opening up tournament play on Wednesday as the YSU women will be taking on Fairleigh Dickinson, Sam Houston, and Louisiana Tech in a 4-team regional bracket. They'll open up the first national tournament against Louisiana Tech on Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. in Kansas City. YSU's in its 5th year as a Division I program, and they have shot up the charts. They were a top 25 team in year number 2. They are now firmly entrenched in the top 20 in the entire nation, and this is going to be an interesting ride for this team.
Yeah, it's you don't normally see this, but basketball tournaments are about done. Women finished last night, men have the championship tonight, and now the volleyball tournament selection show was last night, and obviously the bowling selection show was last week. Sports that you would normally see in the fall, and now all of a sudden we're seeing the spring sport tournaments start. These sport tournaments start right as the fall tournaments are ending up, and then of course, when these tournaments are ending, the spring sports tournaments will be starting up too. So. Should be a really busy time for a bunch of college athletes.
Great time to be a Penguin right now. The bowling team is in the NCAA tournament. The YSU baseball and softball teams just got done doing a tremendous job this weekend. YSU baseball team took 3 out of 4 from Chicago State. The YSU softball team swept their series.
With
pretty nice.
IUPUI.
Yeah, pretty nice time to be a Penguin right now.
So is IUPUI, are they like... do they belong to both Indiana University and Purdue, and it's kind of a shared thing? Is that how?
I'm not sure.
I look at that name and I was like, Indiana University, Purdue University of Indianapolis, and I'm like, do they like? Is it like one of those like branch campuses that they both share? I don't understand.
I honestly don't know. I really don't know. I don't even know if they if they're one of those. Or if they're completely separate and they just decided to use the Indiana and Purdue in their same long...
That's a mouthful, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, Indiana University, Purdue University, Indianapolis. IUPUI. Yeah, that's a mouthful for sure. All right, so the baseball team will be battling second-place Milwaukee out in Wisconsin this weekend. That is a mega series for the Penguins baseball team. And the softball team has a pretty big series in their own right.
Green Bay is up near the top of the conference standings as well, and they're hosting Green Bay at the YSU softball complex. I believe it's doubleheader Friday, doubleheader Saturday. I believe that's how they're going to do it for softball.
There you go. So we'll be talking with Dana about that and so much more. Bob Hannon will be calling in on the show at 2 o'clock. We'll get his take. I don't even know when the heck these guys got back into town. I would imagine somewhere around 4 or 5 o'clock Eastern morning. Just the fact that the game started at 8 o'clock was a little weird. But they had all kinds of different stuff going on in Macomb, Illinois. Their football program is very low on the pecking order, which is one of the reasons why they don't have great facilities.
It's weird because most schools, even if your football team isn't good, it's still the thing that brings in money. So not exactly the case in Western Illinois.
Yeah, it's definitely low on the pecking order, but you can't talk too much smack about Western Illinois because they beat Youngstown State on Saturday night, so it is what it is. It was good to see Mark Wade throwing the ball an awful lot in that game.
But, the positive for Youngstown State, of course, is Jake Coates became the program record holder for punt return yards in a career. And McLaughlin got freshman of the week for Missouri Valley Conference.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll talk with Bob Hannon about that at 2 o'clock. Right now, joining us on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline, the newest assistant coach for the Kansas City Chiefs, the defending AFC champs, Donald DeLisio, Valley native, joining us on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. Congratulations on this honor, Coach.
Thank you, and thanks for having me.
Now, I got to ask, how did this come about?
So I know one of the coaches on staff in Kansas City, and I just was able to form a relationship with him, and we stayed in touch last year. And then after the playoffs, we still stayed in touch and everything. And then he reached out to me one day just about an opening that they might possibly have. And, one thing led to another. I got interviewed, and then I was able to land the job.
Now, when you were hired as a defensive assistant, me and Ron were talking before you called. What exactly does that entail? Are you assisting the defensive coordinator? Or are you just kind of assisting whoever needs it on the defensive staff? What are kind of going to be your responsibilities with the Chiefs?
Yeah, so I'll be assisting the defensive coordinator, Coach Spags, with whatever he needs, and then I'll be working with the defensive back. So there's a safeties coach and a corners coach, and then I'll be working with those guys too with whatever they need on and off the field.
Coach, this has been kind of a whirlwind the last couple of years. The last time YSU played in the fall, you were the co-defensive coordinator in Bo Pelini's last year at Youngstown State. You followed Bo to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, to take part in the defensive side of the ball at LSU. And now you're in the National Football League. This has been a very strange last 12 to 16 months.
It has for sure. With COVID and everything, just with last year's football season, with how that all went, with either no fans or the limited amount of fans that were allowed in the stands. It's one that I'll never forget, for sure. And then, obviously now to get this opportunity, it's part of the crazy profession, I guess, that we're all in. You never know where or when you're going to end up, places. So it's been a fun ride. I've learned a lot from the stops I've been before, and I'm excited to now continue to learn and grow with this staff.
And I'm sure you've watched a lot of Kansas City football over the last 2 or 3 years. It's been an exciting time for the Chiefs. Super Bowl champions 2 years ago, getting to the Super Bowl again this year. Defensive backs, you talk about that. They have one of the better secondaries in the NFL with Matthew back there and Ward and Thornhill. You got to be so excited to work with this unit, especially the secondary of the Chiefs.
I am, yeah. Like you said, mentioning those guys and, the coaches. I've been around them for about 3 weeks now, a month. And, just to be able to learn from all those guys, especially the players, just for them to be out on the field doing certain things and, hearing it from their point of view, at that level, I'm excited for. And, yeah, I'm a DB at heart, so just to get back with those guys and, see it from that point of view, I'm excited for that.
How interested are you going to be in the speed of the game? And everyone talks about how much quicker the National Football League is to college, how much quicker the college game is to high school. How interested are you in seeing just how fast firsthand the game is from major college football, the SEC, where you were last year, to now one of the elite teams in the National Football League?
Yeah, I'm excited for that, and I think I'll realize it very fast in practice, just with Pat Mahomes and that offense. Seeing them firsthand out on the practice field, I'm sure I'll see very fast how fast it is on the field, and I'm excited for that. Yeah, because like you said, I learned as a player from high school to college, and then as a coach, from Youngstown State to LSU, just the difference. And so I'm sure this will be just like anything else. But once you're out there for a little bit, it all you get used to it, and it starts to slow down for you.
How excited are you for Sundays at Arrowhead, in one of the loudest, the loudest stadium in the NFL record-wise?
Yeah, before you answer this, Anthony is a huge Chiefs fan, so I can't get this smile off his face, Coach.
I heard, Coach Leslie, he reached out to me and he told me about how you're a fan. That's good. That's good to hear. Another Valley native that's going to be cheering for the Chiefs. But I'm excited. Yeah, I've heard all about Arrowhead, just from the people that I've talked to and the coaches on staff and some of the guys that I know in the NFL that have played there. And they all rave about Arrowhead. So I've never been there personally, for a game. But I'm excited, and hopefully it's rocking where, all the fans are allowed in, and, I'll be excited for that.
Donald Delisio, the defensive assistant coach for the Kansas City Chiefs, joining us on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. To say 2020 was a strange year would be an understatement, and very strange in what went down at LSU, and obviously it was disappointing for a lot of reasons. I personally thought both of you guys got shafted in the worst way possible. But LSU, talk about that experience in terms of that leading you to where you are today, Coach.
Yeah, it was a great experience. Obviously, like you said, didn't end the way we wanted to, and didn't, necessarily have the success that we wanted to. But, it was a great experience being around, that staff and getting to meet a bunch of those guys. And then me personally, just to recruit on that level, it's different than for sure what you're dealing with, at a Youngstown State or schools like that. You're going after the best of the best, and while you're there, you're recruiting guys that are sophomores, juniors in high school, and you're trying to build that relationship, with those guys. But for me, it did help me for sure get to where I am right now. I know some of those coaches in Kansas City reached out to some of those guys at LSU, and they asked about me. So I know that definitely played a role in me, landing where I am today.
For everyone that doesn't know, you did play at Cardinal Mooney and won a state championship with the Cardinals. What are some of your favorite memories from the high school aspect of your career and playing with that team and growing up in Youngstown and this Mahoning Valley area?
I loved all those guys I played with in high school. Winning a state championship is definitely, my favorite memory from high school, and I think it means so much to me just because, when we were first getting into high school, that's when Mooney, they were at the peak of, winning all the state championships, playing for all the state championships. We won it my freshman year, but at that point, freshmen didn't dress, weren't allowed to play, varsity, so technically really didn't win it. And then, our sophomore year, we got beat in the state championship, and then junior year, we didn't get there. So for us to win it, our senior year, it just meant everything to us because we didn't want to go through our 4 years and not win a ring, ourselves. I learned so much just from the staff, those guys, playing there. That had a lot to do with just my love for football. So I wouldn't trade, going to Mooney, playing for Cardinal Mooney for the world. Like I said, those are my best friends. We're still very close, and it was the best for me.
Coach, a couple of minutes ago, you talked about the fact that in major college football they're recruiting kids. Well, obviously, the National Football League, there's no recruiting unless you're trying to woo some free agents to come into a particular team. The recruiting is drafting. I got to imagine that right now you're neck deep in watching tape and trying to form an opinion along with some other coaches and the members of the scouting department and whatnot. What all are you doing in terms of draft preparation?
Right now I'm just helping the defensive backs coaches, with evaluating those guys. And, the personnel, they kind of give us a list and we just sit down and evaluate those guys a little bit and, write our opinions down. So it's there's a lot of people that go into, the draft process and how it all plays out.
Going into the draft, what do you think is Kansas City's biggest need on defense as far as the defensive unit goes that they want to try to go in and get into the draft?
You know what? I'm not in a position right now to speak on that. Just for me being so new, I'm still trying to get a feel of the roster and, just kind of how these guys are playing, who's coming back. Because it is, with free agency, contracts, that type of deal, it's a little different than what I was used to, obviously with college, with, these guys for sure are back and everything. So right now, I really can't give you a definite answer on that. But I know we're always looking to upgrade, always looking to get better.
This should be all kinds of fun. Obviously, you're in the prime of Patrick Mahomes' career. Kansas City has been to the Super Bowl 2 consecutive years. They are the team in the AFC. Pains me to say that as a Bills fan. But obviously, you've stepped into a really, really great situation, Coach.
Yeah, I'm excited. Obviously, like you said, we're going to be a contender, hopefully, knock on wood. And, it's always excited to go to a good team. But I'm just very, blessed and fortunate for this opportunity that I have, and I'm excited about it.
Well, I just want to welcome you to the kingdom. Make sure that you get a lot of barbecue in Kansas City because there's nothing like it. Make sure you pick up some Gates barbecue sauce as well. Ron can attest to that. I brought him some.
Yeah, that's some good sauce.
Gates barbecue sauce. There's nothing better.
All right, everyone. I had some barbecue already when I was down there, and everybody kind of has their opinion on what's the best, spot to go. But it was good. It didn't disappoint, that's for sure. So I'm sure I'll be eating a lot of it down there.
Coach, congratulations on getting with the Kansas City Chiefs, and continued success with you, and hopefully the Chiefs play extremely well this year, and you guys have a lot of fun.
I appreciate it, and thank you guys for the support, and thanks for having me.
All righty. Coach Donald DeLisio, he is the newest defensive assistant coach with Anthony's Kansas City Chiefs. You properly welcomed him into the kingdom.
Into the kingdom, the Chiefs kingdom that we so and I'm excited. I'm excited to hear that he's working with the defensive backs, because I wasn't blown. I really think that the secondary of the Chiefs is among the best in the NFL. When you look at their corners, you look at their safeties. They're out there making plays. Their defensive problems have come from stopping the run, of course, and the sometimes lack of pass rush. But their secondary, as far as that goes, I think it's one of the best in the NFL.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun year. Obviously, Kansas City's loaded, and they're a really good football team. And boy, this is a great situation for Coach DeLisio. I'm so glad that he landed in the National Football League. I had said when he was the co-defensive coordinator at Youngstown State, this is a kid that if he wanted to get into the National Football League, I could see him being a defensive coordinator in the National Football League.
You take your steps. You make your connections in Kansas City. Steve Spagnuolo's been in the league for a long time. You make your connections with him. You put in your work. You go on the grind, and then you just let the doors open if they're going to open. So he's definitely taking a big step going from YSU 1 year to the SEC and now the NFL. That's not someone that people usually take those steps that quickly. So he's already on the right path. And if he impresses people and makes the good connections in Kansas City, puts on the grind, which we know he will because he's been doing it since he was at Mooney. The guy's been a great worker all the way from his freshman year at Mooney. Steve Leslie coached him. He can't speak highly enough about him. And I can speak for everyone at YSN when we just love seeing people from the Valley have success.
Yeah, he's the second coach in our area to be named a defensive assistant coach. Last year, Kurt Kuntz made the jump from high school to the National Football League, which is unheard of. He is a defensive assistant helping the DBs at Miami with the Dolphins. Mm-hmm. So it's good to see a couple of Valley natives, Kurt Kuntz last year, Donald DeLisio this year, making the jump to the National Football League. This is cool.
Yeah, and it doesn't happen without hard work, and we know that, and we appreciate the time that he's given us to call into the show, and whether it be Chiefs, it's icing on the cake for me, but anytime someone gets to the NFL in a coach capacity, a player capacity, official capacity, really, because even to be a referee in the NFL, you got to be the top notch, top 1%.
Absolutely.
So anytime someone from the Valley does something like that, we are so proud of them at YSN, because that's what we are. Local, live, and loyal is our pillars, and loyalty to people that have been in the Valley that are going off to do great things. Any way we can support them, we're going to do it.
You made mention about the officials. Lord knows we have a lot of umpires that have local ties that have gone into Major League Baseball. The newest one, hopefully, knock on wood, John Mang Jr., who is the son of the guy that is basically in charge of the Mahoning Valley Umpires Association, and he's the commissioner of the Mahoning Valley Athletic Conference, John Mang Sr. His son is in AAA ball, and hopefully in the next couple of years, knock on wood, he gets the call and gets to the major leagues. That would be cool.
Yeah, and I think that's just a testament to the baseball we have. We have the Scene Park, which welcomes teams from all around the country in the summer for the World Series and everything. So we have really high-level baseball in the area for people to get recognition throughout the whole country, and I'm sure that helps umpires that start here kind of get places. And then it doesn't hurt either that we have a minor league team here either.
Yeah, well, and now it's a draft league team,
but back in it had affiliations with the Indians and everything. So
absolutely,
so that doesn't hurt.
By the way, those umpires in the former New York Penn League, if they were not promoted, they will be umpiring in the draft league.
But for the New York Penn League, like the umpires that come and work for Now, do they kind of look at like, hey, do they have anyone local that can step into these ranks and we can try to get them?
No.
So it says
this is not going to be anything local. This is going to be.
No, I just mean when they're picked, like when like the New York Penn League, now the Draft League, is looking at umpires to bring in. Do they first go to the cities where their teams are and say, is there any talent in that local area?
No, they wouldn't do that.
Okay.
Yeah, they're just basically going with kids that are interested in being a professional umpire. This will be the bottom rung where everyone will start, and then you'll get into minor league baseball, which is now the lowest point of minor league baseball is low A ball. You've got, well, actually, no. The draft league would be the lowest rung. Then the rookie leagues, which is still going on in Arizona and Florida, and then low A, high A, double A, triple A in the major leagues.
Yeah, I would have thought that they would at least try to get local first. That way, hey, we have an umpire in Niles that can be at the Scrappers games. Why not give him?
Yeah, no, they're gonna go with the folks that graduated from the umpiring schools. And those
but then again, if you're a local umpire, you have a minor league or now a draft league team, you can be like, hey, there's no better time than to go into the umpire school than now because I have a team right next door, and that would I would be locked in there if I made it through umpiring school.
Yeah, if you were good enough, absolutely. But congratulations again to Donald DeLisio. He was named the Kansas City Chiefs defensive assistant coach recently, and he is in the National Football League, and fantastic. This is a great meteoric rise for Coach DeLisio, and I'm sure he'll do really well in the kingdom.
And I'm sure he's kind of like, he spoke really well. I'm sure he's kind of like, his head has to be spinning because like you brought up the last like 18 months of his career have been YSU, LSU, Kansas City Chiefs. I mean it's
a pretty big jump.
It's like
yeah, that's a pretty big jump.
And I didn't even think, like you said, the last time YSU played in the fall, he was a part of the staff because obviously they had to miss the last fall season. So it's a whirlwind of a year and a half.
No question. But he has a great landing spot with the defending AFC champs, the Kansas City Chiefs. All right, we'll take a timeout. On the other side, we'll open up the phone lines. MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline open for business. 330-886-0813. It's a Monday edition of Running Points, courtesy of Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Back in a bit.
New things happen all day. Some are good, some not so good. In today's complicated world, while you're busy working, playing, and living life, we're busy helping you make sense of the day's news. And there's only one place where it comes together with clarity, context, and accountability. It's 21 News at 6 with me, Madison Tromler, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 6. It's what the day's news really means to you.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends, shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring, and, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Hi, this is Jim Myers with Myers Family Insurance, your local Medicare and retirement resource. We're excited to have sports back. Whether you're on the field or cheering from the stands, sports unifies communities and brings hope for the future. We're all one team working together. At Myers Family Insurance, we know the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is October 15th through December 7th. Now's the time to make sure your plan continues to meet your needs for the upcoming year.
Call today.
Hi, I'm Colin Chupa. And I'm Kelsey Clem from K-Squared Marketing. Our boutique marketing firm specializes in media planning and buying, public relations, event marketing strategies, and strategic sponsorships. We can integrate our services with your existing game plan, or we can be your entire marketing team. Your goals, our game plan. Let's win together. Call K-Squared Marketing at 330 623-2730 or visit ksquared.marketing to learn more.
Hubbard Chevrolet. Hubbard can help you get the financing you need, regardless of your situation. I'm Tony Page, and I've helped thousands of customers in Northeast Ohio and Western Pennsylvania buy a vehicle. Bad credit, no problem. I can get you approved for a low-interest loan and maybe even a low-payment lease on a new car at the #1 Chevy dealership in Trumbull County for 3 years in a row. Visit HubbardChevy.com to get pre-approved or come see me, Tony Page, to get a new vehicle today. Remember, folks, Hubbard can help.
Welcome back to a Monday edition of Running Point, presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Ron Potesta with you alongside the Kansas City Chief fan that he is, Anthony Hartwig, who's a happy camper right now.
That was fun. But now I think we should move to how we would normally open a show if we didn't have such big news and exciting news. Softball and baseball scores over the weekend. We had a really good weekend of softball, baseball. Weather finally opened up because it was terrible Wednesday and Thursday, and it affected Friday as well. Softball, let's start with that. We want to start with softball. How about Bree Callow from McDonald? They have a 14-0 win over Girard in 5 innings. She strikes out 15. Count them. That's 5 innings times 3 outs, 15 strikeouts. That's striking out everybody you face.
Now, she didn't give up anything then. She had no runs, no hits.
I think she had, obviously a no-hitter because she struck out 15.
Well, no, I mean, just because you struck out 15 doesn't mean you can't give up hits.
I think she gave up 1 hit. I think she gave up 1 hit. I'll have to look at our recap that I wrote.
But she didn't, I mean, other than...
no runs. It was 14-0.
Yeah. Wow. That's pretty impressive.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Fitch got a 12-2 win over Western Reserve. Lydia Spalding, still doing Lydia Spalding things, pitching really well for them in the circle. Crestview, how about this? Crestview, you came into this season thinking that Caden Sutton was going to be their ace, and obviously she's still pitching really well. She pitched them to the district championship game her freshman season back in 2019. I don't know if anyone really thought that Mckenna Schultz would come on and be as good as she's done early. She pitched her first career no-hitter on Saturday as the Crestview Rebels won the doubleheader over Camel Memorial, 11-0, and then 7-2.
Mckenna Schultz is very athletic. She is a solid basketball player. I know that she came off the bench on Coach Blatch's team this year and provided an awful lot of great minutes for that Crestview team. She's got a very athletic father. Jeff graduated from Leetonia in '86, and he was a heck of a good basketball player. So I could see where she's gotten her athletic ability, and I know that she was spending an awful lot of time playing travel softball. So that doesn't surprise me that she's gotten to be a really, really good softball player.
So we want to congratulate her on her first career no-hitter against Camel. Maybe the closest game of the weekend, Columbiana beating Salem 7-5. Tori Long is still doing amazing things for their lineup. She's batting .800 at the plate, and her ERA is 1.50 in the pitcher's circle. She's 2-0 with that ERA for Columbiana. So that EOAC, we talked to Sam Mathias last week. It's going to be really interesting. United, Lisbon, and Columbiana all looking very good so far. United plays Lisbon tonight, and then obviously Columbiana will play Lisbon and United at some point this season.
And I don't even know, does Valley Christian have a softball team? One would assume that they do. I don't know. I know Leetonia struggled this year. They got beat over the weekend as well. Wellsville. Southern.
You got to remember, Wellsville opened the season against Columbiana and Lisbon.
Yeah.
So that's a tough way to open the EOAC, going up against the top two teams. East Palestine can hit. I'll give them that. They scored 13 runs against United in their game one against them. They have a lineup that can really hit, and obviously, pitching. They got to get a little bit better at pitching. They gave up 14 when they scored 13. but they can definitely hit the ball pretty hard at East Palestine. That program used to be very top-notch at East Palestine softball. So they're trying to get back to that esteemed program thing. But I think EOAC, Lisbon, United, and Columbiana are going to be the ones to really deal with in that conference.
Yeah, and kudos to Columbiana for taking on Salem. I mean, you're going up 2 divisions, well, 1 division because Columbiana's D3. Still, I mean that's a solid 1-up to do that. So that's a good move for Columbiana.
Poland was 3-0 coming into the weekend. They welcomed in 2-0 Howland, and they beat him 8-1. They looked very impressive.
Wow.
Howland was 3-0. I'm sorry. So both teams were 3-0, but Poland beat him 8-1. Mary Brandt hit her 3rd home run of the season as a freshman. She's coming on strong. Katie McDonald continues to pitch for Poland. At some point, they're going to have to find a number 2. She's pitched all their innings so far in this season. At some point, I got to think they're going to have to find a number 2 pitcher to give her some relief, and that might be this weekend because they host 3 teams at Poland, so they're going to be playing 2 games in one day. I don't think they're going to pitch her for both games.
Yeah, one would hope that they would find another pitcher because I understand throwing the ball underhand is a more natural thing, and you're not going to really destroy your arm by doing that.
No,
but you're going to get tired pretty quickly.
What you do stress is you stress your hip a lot, and instead of the elbow, you stress your shoulder a little bit more than the pitch. You know, baseball pitchers, you worry about the elbow a lot and a little bit of the shoulder. Softball pitchers, you worry more about the hips because you really rotate the hips to get away from your arm, and then you worry about the shoulder because you're doing that motion, you know. So, in travel, they pitch 2 games in a day. It's not unheard of, but I think that's a great opportunity on Saturday at least to see who else you got in the circle and who else you can trust to get innings pitched because eventually, like I said, you go up against really good teams in the NE8 and in the tournament, you're going to have to show them McDonald one night and then try not to show them her the second night. So the good batters or really good lineups don't get a second look at your ace pitcher.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with that. It's a little worrisome if you're looking at that as a Poland fan. Yes, you're undefeated, but you haven't had that second pitcher make a start yet. That's a little worrisome.
But McDonald does have an ERA under 1, and she's got 3 home runs at the plate, so she's definitely a pitcher that can rake, which softball fans gotta love. Love pitchers that can rake. Ursuline with a big win over Jefferson as well. Louisville split a tough doubleheader. They played Keystone, who is one of the state powerhouses. You know, you go through the state championship archive in Division II, you're going to see Keystone pop up a lot. They lost 11-1 to Keystone, but they bounced back with a 14-4 win over McDowell. So,
solid split.
As far as baseball goes, how about this score from West Branch? That was the one that really popped my eyes a little bit. West Branch beating Pullman 17-0 at Scene Park.
Yeah, that's an impressive win for West Branch. And year in, year out, West Branch is always a really tough baseball program. And, Tuesday and Wednesday, West Branch that previous week had taken on an Alliance team where one of those games they had to stare down the barrel of a high 90s, mid 90s pitcher in Mr. Bruni. So that conference is going to be all kinds of fun. West Branch is going to be right up there toward the end of the year. They're one of the best teams in Division II in our area for sure.
Liberty finally got into an offensive game. They were pitching 1-0 last week to open the season. Dropped a 12-9 decision against Lakeview over the weekend. So they finally hit, but they couldn't put it together where they hit and they pitched well, so they couldn't quite get that in sync.
Yeah, Dwight Parker got hit pretty hard, and Lakeview was able to time his fastball, locate. He didn't have much location on some of his pitches. They timed his pitches. They did a real nice job of getting him out of the box.
Don't sleep on Lakeview in that NE8. They're a little under the radar because they're in Cortland and they don't play, really close, and maybe they're not seen a lot by the local media. But you can't sleep on Lakeview in that NE8 for baseball. That might be where the boys at least really strive the most is baseball.
Well, again, it's like West Branch. They're a very good baseball program. They don't get a lot of credit, and I think that you've spoken with the fact that they don't get a lot of credit because they're up in Trumbull County, which I think is kind of a bogus reason why you wouldn't give this team credit. Much like West Branch not being in a conference that is quote local, because Salem and Minerva are the other teams in that conference. I mean, all of that's BS. Look, Lakeview is a solid baseball program. They'll be heard from, no question about that.
Hubbard really competed in Tennessee over the weekend, for those of you wondering how they were doing in Tennessee. But they couldn't really get a win. They lost 2 one-run games, 8-7, both scores of both those games. They just couldn't make that last play down the stretch to kind of get a win, but competed really well against a lot of powerhouses out of state. So, that's got to give them, even though they lost the games, they got to give them a little bit of credit, a little bit of confidence coming back into the area when they're playing state champions from Tennessee.
Absolutely.
And losing by 1 run.
Absolutely. It's a better brand of baseball down there, and I have no problem saying it. It is a better brand of baseball down there. And the fact that they were able to play really well against a better brand of baseball, that's going to speak volumes for Hubbard this year.
I want to remind people that in about 15 minutes we have 2 baseball games starting on YSN. Canfield playing at 1 o'clock. DJ will be there. And Fitch is playing Benedictine at 1 o'clock. Both baseball games will be live on YSN at 1. And then we have our slate at 5, baseball and softball.
I'm assuming there's a lot of schools that are not in session this week
it's
because of
spring break.
Yeah, all right. Post-Easter break, spring break.
South Range softball is playing currently in Myrtle Beach. Their game started at 11. So we'll give an update on them as well as I look up their scores.
Yeah, it should. This should be fun. This should be a solid week of baseball.
Spring break is always fun because this is when you start to get a little bit into non-conference, and you really can play some teams from out of area because they can afford to travel here. So that's why you see like Cleveland Benedictine coming to Fitch, because they don't have to take off school to travel a little early to get to Fitch. They can just come down here from Cleveland, play a 1 o'clock game, and get back to Cleveland at a reasonable time. So spring break is always fun because you get teams that travel like South Range softball, but then you also get teams that stay in the area but go, play a little bit further teams out, play non-conference schedules. So it's going to be fun. But then you also get the conference matchups. United Lisbon on the softball side tonight. I'll be there. That's going to be a major hinge game this series between the Blue Devils and the Eagles.
It'll be fun to watch the activities this week. And weather-wise, at least through the middle part of the week, we're in pretty good shape.
It's I don't trust this forecast because it says chance of rain, but it also says like 30-40% chance every day. So you don't really know if that's going to stick. Like right now, 79 and partly cloudy tomorrow. That's beautiful. With no chance of rain, according to my weather app at least.
You get the hourly forecast for the Weather Channel. And
today, no rain until, it looks like there's a 30% chance at 5.
Here it's 38% chance at 6 o'clock. And then the rest of it is like 15-20% chance.
So, of course, that got to remind people that when we're out at these games, most of the stadiums we're at, we don't have cover. So even if it's sprinkling and they're playing, we got to shut down because we have to protect our equipment. So, we'll definitely communicate with that, but got to remind people that we got to protect our equipment. So even if it's barely raining and they continue playing, we obviously can't have our equipment out in any kind of water situation.
By the way, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, no rain in the forecast per se, although Thursday they're saying that possibly in the afternoon an isolated thunderstorm. Friday looks to be a washout. Right. So there's plenty of days for everyone to get as many games in as possible.
But I'm so excited for tomorrow. 79. Like, that's what my phone. What does your phone say for
77?
Tomorrow? Okay.
Well, this is East Palestine.
I know, but either I'm set for Youngstown because I live in Boardman. But
yeah,
79, 77, high 70s.
Yeah,
Bring it.
I'll take it. I'll take it. Gladly take it.
I'm someone that loves the heat. I am much more comfortable if I have to take off a layer than if I have to put like huge jackets on. I hate the cold, love the heat. Maybe it's because, half my family is from Kansas City and I get that gene where I'm not really affected by the humidity or the heat or anything, but love the heat, love to be out in just a t-shirt, and feel that sun. So I'm really excited for 79 degrees tomorrow.
Listen, all I want is just good enough weather for everyone to get their 4 or 5 games of baseball
picky.
and softball
You're not
this
picky
week.
at all. I'm like Goldilocks. Like, give me this, and anything higher or lower is terrible.
Yeah, I'm not gonna argue.
Like that. I'm not like that with weather. I'm just if it's below a certain point, that's where I'm like, ugh. But I'm never gonna be the one that says, well, this is too hot. I can't do anything at this. I mean, of course there is a point like 100, 110 probably, but in our climate, there's really never a day where, oh man, it's too hot. I get annoyed at those people that are like, it's so cold in the winter, and then the summer comes. They're like, it's so hot. They're Goldilocks people. They want it like a perfect 60 degrees, and if it's not, they're not happy.
Go move to San Diego. If you want perfect weather, go to San Diego.
Yeah, you got a great zoo, and you don't have any sports teams anymore, you'll be fine.
Oh, no, San Diego Padres.
Okay, I forgot about the Padres.
The next World Series champions. You better.
I forgot about the Padres.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. They just been such a footnote in baseball history. I just forgot about
I'm just saying that team team's pretty solid.
Yeah.
I mean, look what they did this weekend.
Yeah, look what they did in 3 games.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
I don't know how many. You weren't here on Friday because when
it's hard. Like I heard your show on Friday. I definitely tuned in, and I heard your rant about the baseball fans that take one game and kind of blow it out of proportion.
I'm just you gotta be kidding me.
I get because it's hard. You're so ready for baseball. You get opening day, and then your team does, especially if your team gets like blown out or something.
Yeah,
you're just like, oh. Season's over, But I think that's tongue in cheek. I think everyone, if you're a baseball fan, you understand that April, like you can't judge a team by an April.
No,
but I think there's also that knee jerk disappointment if your team doesn't show up on opening day and at least compete well. And unfortunately for the Indians, they didn't really show up on opening day.
Well, here's the good news for the Indians. You averaged over 4 runs a game in this series. The bad news is 9 of the 13 runs that you scored was in one day.
Right.
So you only took 1 out of 3 from Detroit, where if you had scored 4 runs a game, you would have wound up winning 2 out of 3, and then nobody has a problem with the series.
Surprised they're only playing 2 against Kansas City. Is this one of the series where they'll play another like? They'll play another 2-game series, I'm guessing, in Kansas City at some point this season.
No, I'm sure.
And make that one of their 4-game series.
Yeah, I'm sure that's gonna wind up happening.
You don't normally see a 2-game series in the division.
It's just weird that they're skipping. They're skipping Tuesday.
Right,
which,
so they're playing Monday, Wednesday.
Yeah, I don't get that one at all. We've already played opening weekend. Why in the world are you skipping another day here? This doesn't make any sense. And then you're skipping Thursday, so Detroit can come into town for a weekend series Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I mean,
why they do it? They do it because it's a free trial week on MLB TV. And they want to short people.
Oh, wow. I never thought of that, but you might be onto something. You might be onto something. It's, It
always works where like, I always get frustrated. It'll be like, oh, free week on, back when I had DirecTV, free week of extra innings. And then it's like, yeah, but we're playing the Indians 4 times. So it's like, I'd have that free anyway.
Yeah, you have that free anyway. That's
not anymore because Bally Sports isn't on my streaming services. So I'm going to have to, because the Sinclair Broadcasting Company is in big disputes with all the streaming services. So really, the only people that really have Bally Sports now are probably the cable subscribers.
Boy, at this rate, you've already pissed off a lot of people that are mad as hell that the All-Star game is taken out of Atlanta. Now you got the regional television people in hot water with the different streaming services and whatnot. Good Lord.
With the streaming age as it is now, if you're going to have the MLB has to look at this and say, okay, our regional sports networks are going to be in disputes with the streaming companies because not a lot of people stream regional sports. Like it's this regional sports doesn't have a big niche in the streaming world. Like Hulu doesn't look at Bally Sports and say we need that because they have to pay so much for ESPN. So MLB should look at that and just do away with this blackout for MLB TV.
Oh, I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Because then the people that all cut the cord are going to be really happy because they can stream your MLB.TV and now I can't watch the game because I don't have Bally Sports and I can't stream the Indians because I'm blacked out. So I'm kind of upset.
I mean, I understand to a degree where you don't want to have people an hour or so away from the ballpark with plenty of tickets available to watch the game when they can drive that hour or whatever and go to a game. But this isn't the National Football League. This isn't we have one game per week. That's why, for me, drop the blackout thing. The blackout works for football because football is a once-a-week sport, and if you can't haul your stupid butt up to Cleveland or Pittsburgh and watch the game, then you shouldn't be allowed to have it.
Here's a shocker: not a lot of people are going to be going to a 4:00 game on a Monday. It's just sorry.
Gee, I wonder why.
Because it's a 4:00 game on a Monday.
And maybe the fact that most people are going to be working at that time. No, I agree with you. It's Major League Baseball. One of the biggest things Major League Baseball can do right now in the climate in which they are living in, which I won't say that I agree or disagree with their decision over the weekend with the All-Star game. I don't want to get into that. But one of the things that you can do right now that would satisfy a lot of people would be to sit back and say, we're dropping the blackouts. Because this is a daily sport. This is not a weekly sport like the National Football League. Drop the blackout and make everyone happy.
It made sense back when streaming was new and there weren't a lot of people cutting the cords yet, because then you kept the ratings in the regional sports people happy because people were watching their channel and not your streaming service, and they got, okay, we're getting ratings, we're making our cable company and advertisers happy. But now, since especially Bally Sports has taken over most of the regional sports channels in MLB, and they're also not on the streaming services, you got to look at that and be like, the streaming services are going up, cables are going down. You got to be ahead of the ball and say, you know what, since you're not going to go on streaming services anyway, we're just going to make our streaming services open.
Yeah, exactly.
But when has baseball ever been good at that kind of stuff?
Well, between that and marketing, they get an F-.
And that goes into marketing. I mean, like getting people to watch your games is one of the biggest things you can do. And now I'm not alone. I'm sure there are a lot of Indians fans that can't watch games because they're not a cable subscriber and they don't have Bally Sports.
Well, I'm a cable subscriber.
You
but
are.
Now,
and do you have Bally Sports?
Well, here's the thing. The DirecTV, where my cousin lives, no problem. Where my parents live in Columbiana, they can't get the Indians because their cable.
Do they have DirecTV or what?
No, their cable is Comcast, and they say, "Well, you're in the Pittsburgh region,
right?
They're not even in Pennsylvania. What are you talking about? A Pittsburgh region? They're not even in Pennsylvania. What are you doing?" So they can't watch the Indians. So they listen to the Indians on terrestrial radio.
Right. That's what you have to do. I mean, hey, radio numbers are going to go up.
Oh, well, around here, radio numbers will go up. I mean, look. I mean, and I even said this, especially Saturday night. No offense to the people that were broadcasting the Western Illinois Youngstown State game. They were obviously students at Western Illinois.
I don't know if the guy was a student.
They were terrible.
Older. They were bad.
Yeah, they were terrible. So I told my mom and dad are watching this game, and I can't stand these announcers. I said, get a radio and listen to Hannon. They go, well, that's a good idea. So that's what they did in the second half.
Did they put the video on mute so they could still see the video with Hannon's call?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't work because sometimes the radio isn't caught up to the video. So you'll see a play and then you'll have Hannon call it like 30 seconds later.
Yeah. No, it was synced.
Okay, that's good.
I don't know whether or not they did it or not, but it was synced.
It was synced.
Yeah, which is a good thing.
Here's another thing that's sad. The MLB, look, in case you didn't know, there are ways to get that baseball game that aren't exactly legal.
Yeah.
The MLB probably frowns upon a lot, but now you're gonna force these people that are desperate to watch their games.
This is the black market version of Running Point right now.
Look, there's no secret that there are ways to get the game if you want to.
Oh my God, absolutely.
And now more people are probably going to go that route because they can't watch it on Bally Sports. They can't stream it on.
And ultimately, who's going to lose the money? Major League Baseball.
Major League Baseball.
So I mean, it's just a terrible marketing,
like,
but whatever.
Their PR and marketing.
What else is new?
What else?
We're going to take a time out on the other end. Dana Balish will join us. It is a Monday edition of Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown.
Baird Brothers remains your source for fine hardwood products. For the time being, we're open for customer pickup only on weekdays, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., and Saturday from 9 a.m. till noon. Place your order online at BairdBrothers.com. Baird Brothers, for the place you love.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
The 4M Company, being an architect and construction manager for over 40 years, has had the opportunity to use many different electrical businesses for our projects. The depth, quality, and knowledge and attention to detail displayed by Dickey Electric makes them stand out above all the rest.
For state-of-the-art expertise and a timeless commitment to our customers, contact Joe Dickey Electric. We are everything electrical.
The 2021 Auto Show must go on. Exclusively at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Save more during the Extra Mile Auto Show with employee pricing for everyone on some of our most popular models. Plus, get an additional $1,000 on the value of your trade. Schedule a test drive today to experience the 2021 lineup for yourself.
Visit GreenwoodAutoShow.com to see how Greenwood Chevrolet can go the extra mile for you.
News doesn't stop after the sun goes down. Sometimes you just have to hustle to get it. At 21 News, no matter how far it is, no matter what it takes to get there, we're working to bring you the best stories and the freshest content at 11 p.m. with the context and clarity that makes it worth staying up for, no matter what time it is. 21 News at 11 with me, Aaron Simonek, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 11, news that's worth your time.
When looking for home design inspiration, don't just be inspired, be Baird inspired. Whether new or remodeling, Baird Brothers has the latest trends like shiplap to refresh your home. Go from inspiration to installation with our wide selection of in-stock American hardwoods. From the rustic charm of antique oak to the warmth of traditional cherry, Baird Brothers has what you need to make your home inspiring. Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
Hello, I'm Greg Burbick with G. Burbick Farms. For the last 100 years, my family has farmed in Columbiana and Mahoning counties. I began raising cattle in 1996 with the goal of providing a better product for you and your family on the dinner table. Our grass-fed and grain-supplemented Black Angus beef are raised with no hormones, steroids, or antibiotics. We're known for our hometown-friendly service and incredible tasting products. We're locally owned and have customers across the tri-state area. Our products go from our farm to your family. Stop by our farm on New Buffalo Road or visit us on the web at gburbickfarms.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook. G. Burbick Farms, it just tastes better.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local, independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at wrsinsuranceSolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
Right now is a great time to get more for your trade-in at Tri-State Ford and drive home in a new or pre-owned vehicle. Choose from our great selection of new Ford models or pre-owned vehicles. Plus, get the Tri-State Ford Advantage, including a 10-year, 200,000-mile warranty and more. At Tri-State Ford, we'll pay you top dollar for your trade, but you don't have to purchase one of ours to sell us yours.
Customer focus, community driven. Tri-State Ford East Liverpool or visit tristateford.net.
When looking for home design inspiration, don't just be inspired, be Baird inspired. Whether new or remodeling, Baird Brothers has the latest trends like shiplap to refresh your home. Go from inspiration to installation with our wide selection of in-stock American hardwoods. From the rustic charm of antique oak to the warmth of traditional cherry, Baird Brothers has what you need to make your home inspiring. Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
Welcome back to a Monday edition of Running Point, presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Ron Podesta with you, alongside Anthony Hartwig. MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline open for business, 330-886-0813. That's 330-886-0813. No Dana Balish today, just unable to get a hold of him. And, of course, this spring, I mean, everyone is busy as all get out. So I would assume that with a number of games that are going to be played during the course of the day, who knows what's going on.
We have a big update from Myrtle Beach and South Range. They won 11-0, and Bree Kohler threw a perfect game.
Oh, there you go. 5 inning? One would assume since they had an 11-run lead, it would have been 5 innings.
Yeah, unless they got it. Let's see. 0 runs, 0 hits over 5 innings, striking out 12.
Yeah, so that would have been a 5-inning perfect game.
5-inning perfect game.
There you go.
12 strikeouts in 5 innings.
So that means only 3 balls were hit in play during that time. Oh, that's a dominant performance.
So South Range 1-0 in Myrtle Beach. They'll play again tomorrow.
Yeah, that's pretty solid. And again, we made mention of this. You go south, chances are you're going to be playing better competition down there, and that's going to make your program that much better.
We talked to Jeff DeRose, and they call him before they schedule things, and he tells them, give us the toughest schedule possible. So they always play the best teams that are offered down there in Myrtle Beach as well. So 11-0 to start out.
That's solid.
You know that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's solid. Solid performance. Again, perfect game, 15 up, 15 down for Bree Kohler. Solid performance for South Range as they get their Myrtle Beach excursion started out on the right foot.
And I'm sure the Fitch and Canfield baseball games have gone into their first pitch.
Yeah, we'll see what transpires during the course of the day.
Maybe you can have us up for audio and then pull up the baseball games for their video feed. Double dip on YSN.
Well, how many screens are we looking at to do this?
Well, see, you don't have to look at us. You can just hear us, and then you can watch the baseball.
Are you able to do that?
Well, not on one screen. You'd have to bring up the baseball on your iPad or whatever, and then bring up Running Point on your computer.
Yeah,
or your phone or whatever.
That's multitasking, people. That would be multitasking.
That would be.
That's a huge bit of multitasking right there. So, again, opening day, home opener, I should say, for the Indians. It's not opening day. The Indians have their home opener today. Pirates don't have their home opener until, I want to say, this weekend. They're going to be, I believe they're in Cincinnati, opening up a series with the Cincinnati Reds tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. Nope, tonight, 6:40. 6:40 tonight. The Pirates will be opening up a series with the Reds. and then they'll be opening up their home portion of the 2021 campaign in Pittsburgh against the Cubbies this weekend.
Duffy against Allen for Indians Royals.
Yes.
Both teams in their, fourth starter?
Yes.
Into the rotation?
Yeah, fourth starter. And I'm sure that McKenzie will probably piggyback Allen today.
They won't need a fifth starter this week because they're skipping Tuesday, so they can just put their one on Wednesday.
Yeah, they're not even going to be needing a fifth starter for the first couple of weeks.
Right.
Because you're continuing to skip a couple of days. Like, for instance, tomorrow and Thursday, there are no games for the Indians. The next time you will need a fifth starter, probably the weekend of April 16th through the 18th, when the Indians are in Cincinnati taking on the Reds.
You know, what's funny is these teams, eventually these days off in a week are going to catch up to them. They're going to have the, 12 games in 12 days kind of stretch at some point this season.
Yeah, they'll have 10 days and 10 games in 10 days. Detroit this coming weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday in Chicago, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in Cincinnati. So,
their first 4 series of the year are divisional.
Well, yeah, you're right.
So, the Indians, although, we said you can't judge a team by April division games absolutely matter. And
all divisional games
I know,
matter.
but the ones in April seem to be one of the ones that can bite you in the butt.
Yeah, they're going to play this month alone. They're going to play Detroit 6 times, and they're going to play the White Sox 7 times. 5 of those 7 games are going to be in Chicago.
This should be interesting because tonight's game, because pitching has been optional in Kansas City for Texas and Kansas City over the weekend. So we'll see if this is a pitching duel or if it's a offensive slugfest.
Look, Kansas City and Detroit are tied for first place with Minnesota.
Well,
they're all 2-1.
Kansas City also scored 14 on Thursday and then 11 on Saturday. So their offense picked up their pitchers in their first 2 games. So we'll just have to see if that can continue. Duffy is the experienced pitcher of the group. He's been with Kansas City for a while, but the Indians usually hit him pretty well. So we'll see how it goes today.
Yeah, Logan Allen, I would imagine Tristan McKenzie will piggyback him
the Rangers did that yesterday too. Like they'll throw Allen for maybe 4 or 5 innings depending on what his pinch count is, and then they'll just put in McKenzie for 6 through 8.
Yeah, in a perfect world, he gets a lot of pitches, and then you go to the closer or whoever the closer is that particular day, and just go from there. So we'll see what happens, but lots of stuff with that, and there's still some fans that are still a little disappointed, and there's only going to be 11,000 people or 11,000 tickets available for opening day. I'll be curious to see if they actually sell all of these tickets for opening day and for the days after opening day.
So no Dana yet. We're trying to get a hold of him, but
they're busy over there.
They're busy.
Yeah,
it's a busy
they get all
time.
kinds of stuff going on.
So what we would have talked about with him, I think we would have started with the YSU baseball. High school baseball, softball over the weekend, and kind of what his take. What were your take? Did you umpire this weekend?
No.
You did the tailgate show.
Yeah, I did the tailgate show on Saturday for YSU football, and I honestly didn't see any of the YSU baseball or softball games this weekend. I kept up to date, obviously, especially with the baseball. And you and I talked a little bit about this when Youngstown State took 3 out of 4 from Wright State to get to within 3 games in the loss column. we had both said how important this series was with UIC.
Yeah, you would have loved to sweep, but you got to win it, and that's what they did.
And taking 3 out of 4, okay, you lose another game in the loss column. Now you're 4 games out in the loss column. Okay, that's no big deal. I mean, you look at the standings right now. Youngstown State is in really, really good shape in the baseball standings, as they're currently in 3rd place, 1 game in back of Milwaukee, and these two teams will play each other this weekend. So Youngstown State could very well be in 2nd place by the end of this week.
And this was tweeted about a half an hour ago by YSU Baseball. I don't know if you follow D1 Baseball, the website.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to call them. I guess you would call it. Colin Floyd got into the top 30 this week for D1 baseball pitchers. Look at his. I mean, he had 8 innings pitched, 1 run, none of them earned, 3 hits and 8 strikeouts, 1 walk in his start. 3rd complete game of the season, and he became YSU's all-time strikeout leader. I mean, can we? I mean, every week we're talking about Colin Floyd, but can we speak too highly of him? I don't think you can.
No, he's having a wonderful start to the YSU season, and over the weekend he broke the all-time record for most career strikeouts. Again, he pitched what was supposed to be a 7-inning game. He pitched 7 shutout innings. Now the problem was the offense wasn't scoring any runs, and it looked like Floyd was going to get the loss in that game because he gave up an unearned run in the 8th inning, but the Penguins scored 2 times in the bottom of the 8th inning and got the victory 2-1.
Yeah, and then I mean you lose 1 game, but the way they lost, getting shut out, I'm sure that wasn't exactly what Coach Bertolini wanted to see. I mean, you go into a 4-game series, odds are you're going to lose one of the games. I mean, it's how baseball works. But to get shut out, this offense doesn't get shut out too much.
No.
And to go 6-0, maybe the approaches weren't exactly up to snuff, and the game plan and the hitting approach wasn't exactly where it should be. So that's something that I'm sure Coach Bertolini will work on this week. When he takes away from the weekend series, he's going to say, played really well, scored 15 runs in one of the games, but we have to look at what went wrong in the game we got shut out because we need our offense to be good. We need our offense to really hit. So that'll be probably something he looks at.
29 runs after the loss to UIC.
Right, they really bounced back really well.
Yeah, 15 runs in the first game, 14 runs in the second game. You score 31 in a 4-game series, you're averaging about 7, almost 8 runs, per game.
It's kind of like getting shut out with the smelling salt a little bit for their offense.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Bam. And then they came angry in the next 2 games and scored, 29 runs in 2.
Yeah, so 29 runs in 2 games the next day. So that was pretty solid.
It wasn't a great offensive game in Game 1. They just came out with the 2 runs in the extra innings.
Yeah, and those 2 runs were scored in the bottom of the 8th inning. So, otherwise, you're losing 1-0.
That slump carried over into the next game, 6-0. They lose, and then all of a sudden it was like, all right, let's make sure we get our ducks in a row in offense. And 15 and 14 the next 2, that's a good bounce back. Good adjustments from one day to the next.
Well, and definitely give some credit to UIC. Their pitching staff was phenomenal the first 2 games. They've got some solid pitching. At least the first 2 games of this series, they were really solid.
And, I think it's a credit to the coaching staff and the players that they can adjust so quickly. They can go from getting shut out to, go in the next day, have better approaches at the plate, have a better game plan, and execute a lot better, and all of a sudden their offense is clicking. You don't see a lot of teams at this level be able to make that really quick adjustment on the fly when their offense is really struggling, and then the next day it's really clicking because of the adjustments they make.
4-game series in Milwaukee beginning on Friday. They will play Milwaukee at 4 o'clock Friday afternoon in Franklin, Wisconsin. Saturday will be a doubleheader. Game 1 starts at 1 o'clock. Game 2 starts at 4 o'clock. And then the Sunday game will be a 1 o'clock start in Milwaukee, and that'll be the end of the series.
All of them will be on YSNLive.com. Our voice of the YSU baseball team, Richie Giuliano, will continue to have you guys covered, and we might try to get Richie on after Bob Hannon to recap the weekend for YSU baseball. We like talking to him.
Yeah, it was a solid weekend for the Penguins. Again, they take on the second place Milwaukee. The Milwaukee team 10-6 in conference play, 3 games in back of Wright State, 1 game ahead of Youngstown State for the third spot. Again, top 4 teams go to the tournament. So right now, the 4th place team is Northern Kentucky. UIC is the 5th place team. They are currently 2 games behind Youngstown State. So the Penguins are 2 games clear of the 5 spot, and that's where they need to be in the top 4.
That's another reason why this series was so important. Not just trying to keep pace with Wright State, but also getting some separation between that 4 and the 5 spot for YSU. Because going into this series, it was like right here, UIC and YSU. Everyone was really bunched up. So to get some separation there from the 5 spot and UIC, get 2 games on that. That's a probably more important than trying to keep pace with Wright State, because odds are Wright State might not lose another conference game, so it would be kind of, it'd be silly to kind of try to keep trucking. We got to keep pace with Wright State, when really you should be focused on the 2 teams behind you and make sure you're keeping them in the rear view mirror so they don't catch you while you're trying to fight like crazy to keep pace with a team like Wright State that's, like I said, might not lose another series in the Horizon League.
I'm looking at the schedule for Wright State, the rest of the schedule for Wright State, and they have Purdue-Fort Wayne this week, 4-gamer in Dayton. They'll go to Oakland for a 4-game series. Northern Kentucky will be a 3-game series at Purdue-Fort Wayne, 4-game series. Milwaukee at home for a 4-game series, and Oakland at home for a 4-game series. They'll only play Milwaukee 1 time this year. So Wright State does not have a lot of really tough teams left in their schedule.
The only teams that might be able to take 2 against them, or if it works out, win the series, are probably Northern Kentucky and Milwaukee. So if you're YSU, I would say just keep the blinders on, keep taking care of business, and let Wright State do what Wright State's going to do, and let those chips fall where they may. Make sure you keep the teams behind you. That's the most important thing. If you get too focused on trying to chase Wright State, you might slip up and let one of these teams from behind you kind of slip into that spot.
Yeah, I mean, for the Penguins, you got to stay in the top 4. That's ultimately that's what's going on. You got to stay in the top 4, and if you're UIC or Purdue-Fort Wayne or Oakland, and Oakland is buried deep. They're 3-13 right now. You got to root for either YSU or Milwaukee. You have to root for an absolute sweep, one way or the other. So one of these teams gets back into the middle of the pack.
Why not just root for YSU? Because no one likes to spoil sports. So you're going to root for YSU to sweep.
Well, they might be looking at the fact that Milwaukee's in second place going, well, the third place team we should probably root against, which right now is YSU. I'm just saying. But, yeah, I mean, if you're UIC, Purdue, Fort Wayne, or Oakland, you're certainly going to be wanting to root for a 4-game sweep in either direction.
I'm guessing in that Horizon League tournament, 1 plays 4, 2 plays 3, winners play each other, right?
Yep.
3-game series?
No, it would be double elimination.
So, like, if you... 1 plays 4, 2 plays 3, losers play each other?
Yep.
Winners play each other?
Yep.
Then the
winner, the loser of the game plays the other loser, and then you have...
Right, you have to beat the team that goes 2-0, you have to beat them twice if you want to win a championship.
Exactly. So right now, Wright State would be playing Northern Kentucky, Milwaukee would be playing Youngstown State. And
the winners would play each other.
The winners would play each other. The losers would play each other. The winner of the loser game moves on. The loser leaves. The loser in the winner's bracket would play the other loser in an elimination tournament. And then ultimately, bottom line, if you win 2 games in a row, you're in really good
Which
shape.
is exactly how they set up the World Series, the double elimination bracket with 8 teams in there. At least that's how they do it in softball. I'm pretty sure that's how they do it in baseball too. For the double elimination, if you go undefeated, you have to beat twice in the championship series.
Yeah.
So it's the same setup as you'll see in the World Series, and not exactly the same in the No, it is the region, right? That's exactly how they do the regional too.
Well, absolutely.
Winners play each other.
Yeah, the winners play each other, losers play each other,
Right,
and then the loser in the winner game plays the other loser.
So they're just setting you up for what to expect when you play in tournament time.
Exactly.
So the only series you're going to play is the Super Regional.
Yeah.
Which is best 2 out of 3.
And that's 2 out of 3 in the Super Regional, and that's you have to win your region. For the Penguins, they've gone to the NCAA tournament twice. They've gone 0-2 the first time, and I think 1-2 the second time they went to the tournament.
It's time to make the next step.
Be nice. It would be nice just to get into the tournament,
right?
And we'll.
They're not
going to
be any large bids, so you have to win that Horizon League.
Well, I mean,
you know what? If Wright State doesn't win that, I mean, they've been pretty impressive. What's their overall record?
13-8.
That's not good enough. No, they won't get
13-8 is their record, and
if they would have knocked off Alabama or Vanderbilt in those close games, maybe they could get an at large.
Yeah,
but
they went 0-2 against Vandy and 0-3 against Alabama, so they started the season 0-5.
If you could have gotten 1 or 2 wins out of those games, then maybe you could. Fight for an at-large, but at that point, when you go 0-5, you got no wins to back up your Horizon League play, and the RPI is just not going to be good enough to get them in at large.
Yeah, that's we'll see what happens with that. I sincerely doubt if this is a 2-team or a 2-bid conference. I think it's only going to be a 1-bid conference, unfortunately.
The only way to get an at-large bid in a conference like the Horizon League and NNIC, you got to pull off the upsets when you play those big teams. You got to, if they took 2 against Alabama, then their RPI is going to skyrocket if they go, play really well. And also for Wright State, losing 3 out of 4 to YSU, not helping your cause. I mean, you would have to dominate the conference and then maybe get slipped up in the tournament to get an at-large.
Well, and truth be told, Wright State's 12-0 against everyone else in this conference. They just went 1-3 against YSU. Now, the other part of their 12 wins, 4 of those 12 wins were against YSU. So 5-3 against YSU, 7-0, or no, actually 8-0 against everybody else. But the fact that they didn't get any victories in the
non-conference,
that's not going to work for them.
Nope.
No, it's definitely not going to work for them. So we'll see what happens there. Major League Baseball looking to relocate the 2021 All-Star Game over the weekend. Friday, they said they're kicking it out of Atlanta. Look, this is a no-brainer. As far as I'm concerned, put it in Los Angeles because they lost out on the All-Star Game last year. They were supposed to have the All-Star Game, and then that's when COVID hit. Just do a reset and just say, here, LA, take it.
I'm surprised he didn't. When that happened, I'm surprised he didn't just push everything back a year and say, Atlanta, you'll have next year. We're going to give LA the All-Star Game that they, need since they missed it. So I'm surprised that wasn't the plan already.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised that they would have that they haven't had that backup plan in place. I mean, this is a no-brainer. Los Angeles didn't have their All-Star Game in 2020, so give it to LA.
You got to think in this world. I mean, no one expected them to cancel it for the reasons they did, but there had to be an expectation like we could have to cancel this game because of COVID or move it because of COVID. So there should have been at least a backup, a safety net place to put it. If that were to happen. So I don't think it's going to take long to find a new spot. And like you said, Los Angeles is probably, if you wanted to pick a most likely spot, that's probably going to be it.
Yeah, based upon the fact that they were supposed to have the All-Star Game in 2020. This isn't the first time that a league, one of the big four, has decided to do this. I mean, keep in mind, the National Football League moved one of the Super Bowls out of Arizona because they had not adopted Martin Luther King Day as a holiday, so they kicked one of the Super Bowls from that Arizona was supposed to get. They moved it until they decided, hey, we better give that the national holiday that it deserves. And then the National Football League said, hey, we'll give you your Super Bowl back.
Whether you agree with this or not, you have to realize it's not new. It's something that, it's not because, we're in this culture now that everyone's... It's not new. It's been happening in sports for... remember the ACC basketball moved their tournament out of North Carolina because they wouldn't repeal a law that was, I think it was detrimental to the LGBTQ community. So the ACC said, well,
the NBA All-Star Game also did the same thing.
Right. So, that's the one in the recent memory that I can recall, but you brought up Arizona. Sports has taken stands on not going to places that don't really fit into what their particular moral code implies, and the MLB kind of felt the pressure. The MLB's in a point where they're probably out of all the 4 leagues right now, they can't afford pressure from their sponsors, and they got a lot of it to get out of Atlanta, because the NFL, they were hurt a little bit, but their TV contracts are much bigger than the MLB.
Yes.
So if sponsors came to the NFL, not an NFL team, because we saw what happened in Washington, but if they came to the NFL and said, we're going to put pressure on you, the NFL could stand there and kind of play chicken with them, because how long is Nike going to want to not sell NFL gear throughout the whole 32 teams? But the MLB was in a position where they really couldn't play chicken, and they couldn't afford to lose sponsors because of how bad COVID hurt them in the last season and everything else. So I think they, out of all the leagues, were probably in the worst position to be pressured by sponsors.
Here's the other thing, then, and it's probably a misnomer that I'm frankly getting tired of hearing. This is an exhibition game. This is not.
It doesn't have any effect on the World Series anymore.
Exactly.
It used to.
Exactly. This is an exhibition game. So the idea that some people have been saying, well, what happens if the Braves go to the playoffs? What are they going to do then? They're going to play the games in Atlanta. Because you're not going to take...
Braves are still playing home games.
Yeah, you're not going to take any home games away from Atlanta. You're not going to take any postseason home games away from Atlanta. That's not going to happen. This was a marquee exhibition game that Major League Baseball, under pressure, said, hey, we are going to move this because we believe that the rule that you just passed, the law you just passed, isn't right. And this is our right to do this, much like it's the right of people. If you want to boycott, hey, that's your prerogative if you want to boycott. Although, let me just say this. If we're going to go into the boycott business, then you should probably not be a hypocrite and boycott everything that is not meeting your standards, which means you're probably going to be without a lot of stuff, because a lot of companies do things. This is the peeling the curtain back. A lot of companies do things that are probably not up to your standards. That's why I don't boycott.
Things get kind of shady, real quick, if you really dive deep enough. I'm not going to speak on the law because I haven't read it yet. I haven't read the whole thing. I've read some of it. But one of the things that drives me crazy is the people that form opinions about stuff like this based on people who they agree with opinions.
Yeah, exactly.
And you see a lot of that in the last couple of days with people's opinion on this law. But you can tell by the way they're talking, they haven't actually read it themselves. They're going and reading what other people that they agree with are saying about it and forming their opinion on it based on that, either way of the coin. So I'm not going to speak on it. But what I do have an opinion on is this move doesn't hurt the state government of Georgia. It hurts the city of Atlanta.
Yes.
And it hurts the Atlanta Braves fans who you're alienating. And I feel like it's another swing and a miss marketing-wise for the MLB. Like, you could have given the Atlanta Braves a big platform to kind of express what's wrong with this law.
Exactly.
If they wanted to do that. But you took that opportunity away from the Braves, and you alienated all the Braves fans, said we're not going to, because they didn't control the law. None of the fans had anything to do with what law went in place. So I think it's another swing and a miss from the PR department at MLB. I think if they wanted to take a stand on, how they felt about that law, they could have a much more opportunity to do it with the All-Star game in Atlanta than taking it out of Atlanta.
See, I'm on the fence on this one. A part of me is glad that Major League Baseball did what they did because I've read the law, and while I'm on board with some of the things about this law, two things I'm definitely not on board with. Number one, there's not enough ballot boxes in the inner cities, which is a very smart way to say we're really not interested in the voting from this particular aspect of it, because the fact that you're not putting enough ballot boxes in the cities, you're basically saying your vote really doesn't matter to us. Neither here nor there. The one thing that even bothers me more is the fact that you have a legislation of one party that can immediately fire a county board of election and replace them with their own party, which to me is absurd. That part of it is absurd as well. I don't have a problem
I think
with
the part that you said is not what people are mad about. It's
the whole voter ID thing is what everyone's mad about.
That and there are once again, I haven't read the whole thing. I felt like there are some parts of it that are only applicable to urban parts of Georgia.
Yeah.
Like the long lines and the no mobile ballot stuff, which also are the highly densely populated minority parts of Georgia.
Exactly.
So that's what people I think are getting caught up on, is like these laws are applicable to the parts of Georgia that are particularly populated by the minorities. So it's like that, whether it's a law that really targets them or not, it feels like it does. It's one of those ones that perception is really important right now.
And let's be honest about something. Had one of the two senators or President Trump won the state of Georgia, we're not having this discussion because this law wouldn't be in place.
And the other thing is, unfortunately, Georgia's history goes into that perception. I mean,
exactly.
Perception's very, like I said, perception's very important right now, and Georgia's history with their, it goes into that perception a little bit. So, I don't know. Like I said, I don't think moving the All-Star game is a perfect move to stand against the law if you don't think it's right. I think the Braves in the city of Atlanta would have a much better pedestal to stand up to it if the game's in Atlanta. It just makes a little bit more sense.
That's one of the reasons why I kind of wanted them to keep the All-Star game in Atlanta. The Braves
came out and said, the Braves were ticked.
Yeah.
Braves came out and said, you just stripped us of a great opportunity to stand up and say, not all of Georgia feels like this.
Exactly.
And we're going to have a platform, and you just took that platform right away.
Yeah.
And you alienated more of your fans, which is something that MLB just keeps doing and doing and doing it, and it's just like, ugh.
And I think that is one of the reasons why I would have liked to have seen the All-Star game stay in Atlanta and let the Braves, who are completely opposed to this bill, as are Delta and Coca-Cola, what they would have done to make the All-Star game and make the game memorable. Ultimately, the bottom line in all of this is you're still going to be honoring Hank Aaron wherever the All-Star game is.
It's not going to have the same impact.
Thank you. It's not going to have the same really cool effect. And let's be honest about something. Whether or not people are a fan of baseball, baseball is the only game of the four, and frankly, it's not even close, where there is a romanticism of the game that does not exist in football, baseball, and hockey. If you go to the Major League Baseball All-Star game in Boston, where they had the 20th Century All-Stars, and you had just the who's who of Major League Baseball royalty all around Boston, everyone just lost their mind when they saw that. It would have been special had they done that in Atlanta.
Baseball in America is like soccer in Spain, Brazil, in Europe, where it's not. It goes a little bit further than the sport. There's like you said, the grandiose mythological romanticism of the sport that you kind of have. It's part of your culture almost. Like baseball is a part of Americana.
Yes.
And as much as we love football and much as football gets ratings, and
it takes a back seat to baseball from this.
When it comes to Americana, you think baseball first.
Yes.
And it's probably like Canada's probably hockey.
Absolutely.
When you go to Canada, it's probably the same way with hockey. It's just part of the culture. So, you know, I think it would have been smarter to keep it in Atlanta and give them the platform, but you know, obviously they were dealing with, like I said, a lot of pressure from sponsors that the MLB was not in a position to handle financially.
Here's one thing that I will do, which is very surprising because I rarely give Rob Manfred credit for anything. But before he made this decision, Rob Manfred talked to the Players Association and he talked with a variety of different people within baseball before he made this decision. So at least this was not one of those spur of the moment, oh, you're going to do this? Well, I'm immediately going to make a decision that you may or may not regret. And look, there's people now that are saying, well, we're not going to watch baseball anymore. To which I say, look, if you're going to do this...
People have been saying that for years.
Exactly. Look, I mean, when did I say 2 months before the season started, I was talking about it.
Sports will be fine. Sports will always have people watching sports.
Exactly.
Yeah, you know, I don't know if you're not going to watch baseball because they moved an All-Star game, which you have no control over whatsoever. I think it's kind of silly, but hey, if you're that passionate about the All-Star game being in Atlanta that you're going to say I'm not going to watch baseball anymore because they moved it,
then you're not much of a baseball fan.
Then it's like, well, then hey, how much did you really care about baseball in the first place?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Just, you know.
Same people with like the Kauffman Stadium, for example, has new kind of COVID rules, what you can and can't bring into the stadium. And I'm sure it's universal around Major League Baseball. Like you can't bring outside food and drink anymore. The bags, you used to be able to take a small bag. You can't bring any bags in anymore. You can bring water, but just water. Like it has to be in a bottle. You can't put water in a bag. I don't know why. I don't know what that has to do with COVID. I don't know. But it's new rules they put out. People are like, well, I'm not going to go because I have to pay money for concessions at the park now. Well, if the $20 for concession is your breaking point, then how much did you really want to go in the first place?
Yeah, exactly.
I get concessions are expensive as far as you pay more for a hot dog there than you would at your grocery store, but it's still not like I'm giving you my soul for a hot dog. You know, it's $5. You know,
if that.
It's just like a movie theater. You know, you go, you're going to pay for the popcorn. It's going to be the thing. And if you don't want to, then you just won't go to the movie theater. But how much did you want to see that movie?
That's it.
So
that's it. So
if $20 was your breaking point, whether or not you were going to go to a baseball game, then how much did you really want to go to that baseball game in the first place?
But it's the principle of the thing.
Right.
Whatever.
Okay. I'll send you to the principal's office.
So we'll see what happens and how much backlash everyone gets.
I'll be interested to see how the if the fans of Atlanta flock to the Braves or if they're turned off by this and don't go to Braves games. I know it's limited capacity anyway, but I want to see how many full capacity, COVID capacity crowds they get compared to low capacity crowds.
Well, it's a brand new ballpark.
Because I'm interested, like I said, I'm interested to see how the fans of Atlanta either rally behind the Braves and say, well, the MLB screwed us, so we're going to support you guys, or get kind of turned off by the baseball and stop going to Braves games.
Yeah.
Braves are pretty exciting. They're
a fun team.
They're a contender.
Yeah.
So I imagine it'll be the latter because it's easy to kind of back a winning team. If it was like the Tigers or the Rangers, they'd just be like, well.
Yeah. Texas Governor Greg Abbott has today, he not only turned down the Rangers' request to throw out the first pitch at the club's home opener, he also informed everyone that Texas will not seek to host the annual All-Star Game or other league events. Now, does that mean that
because of what baseball
of what baseball did to Atlanta? So, league events would be considered the baseball winter meetings. Baseball winter meetings have been in Dallas 2 or 3 times, and I remember going to 2 or 3 of those events. So are you going to essentially, when everything is clear, say, well, we don't want the winter meetings to be held in Dallas, Texas, or any city in the state of Texas, and we're going to forego the $50 to $100 million worth of economic growth for your city?
Yeah,
it's just
it's chicken, and he'll flinch eventually.
The stupid train is starting to be boarded by
the Rangers
people.
are like, you mean we don't have to have a dumb politician that really doesn't care about baseball throughout the first pitch?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
We'll get someone else.
We'll get a former Ranger.
All right. 330-886-0813. Let's go to the phone lines. You're on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. What's up?
Champ Summers reporting for duty.
What's up, Mr.
Champ? How you
Mr.
doing?
Champ?
How you doing? Listen, I'm going to branch off a little bit. I don't like to branch into the politics thing, but you got to understand and Anthony, you brought the best point up. You got to understand the history of Georgia.
Right.
I mean, let's just go back 2 years in 2018 when Stacey Abrams, who ran for governor and did a tremendous job, came very close to beating Kemp, and there was a lot of shenanigans as far as voter suppression. I mean, and it was actually factual. And what she did was, instead of pouting and complaining about it, she just behind the scenes decided to get everyone registered to vote. And that was the big difference. And a lot of people think that the minority populations led to the victory in Atlanta. It actually wasn't. When you look at Atlanta, Detroit, and Philadelphia, those elections were won in the suburbs by white women and white educated men. That's the difference in the election. It wasn't the African American vote, because actually Trump got more than he did before. It was the suburban educated women and men, white women and men, that was led to the defeat in Atlanta for our former president.
Yeah, I agree with that. But look, I mean, as I said, none of this happens if the former president had won the state, or one of the 2 senators had won the state. We wouldn't have this law. We wouldn't have this boycott. We wouldn't have had this decision by Major League Baseball.
You're exactly right. And I find it very interesting that Georgia, which is now a blue state and has 2 Democratic senators, which is remarkable when you look at the history. And that's why they made all these changes, because they're teed off because they got their butts kicked in the last election. I mean, Georgia, everyone talked about these other states like Florida and Michigan or whatever, but really when you look about what happened what's happened in Georgia throughout the year, I mean, Georgia's kind of been the poster child for what's going on in this country. Everything that we talk about, negatively or positive, has gone on in Georgia in the last 3 years. Whether it's the story of that jogger getting shot, police brutality, or tearing down the Wendy's assassination, the suppression, the voter fraud. I mean, everything goes to Georgia. It's amazing how Georgia might be the most important state when you talk about politics and the election. But I think Major League Baseball exactly did the right thing. When you look at the history of what they did after they got beat in the election, that's why they did it. They got beat up and they want to change the rules, period.
I just wish that they would have given the Braves an opportunity to have their ability to protest this law. Because the Braves and Delta and Coca-Cola were not on board with this law. And I think the Braves are ticked off at Major League Baseball because they felt, hey, give us an opportunity to stand up for what you are essentially believing in. Give us that opportunity while we can still get the money in our city and in our franchise, but still have the opportunity to speak against this law. That's why I think the part of me would have liked to have seen the All-Star Game stay in Atlanta.
I don't think it's going to hurt baseball at all. I think that anyone that says they're not going to watch baseball anymore, I totally agree with you. They were never a baseball fan. Give me a break. Yeah, but I think it'll be fun. Keep in mind that 2 or 3 years ago, they moved that stadium. They tore down the old stadium, which is in the inner city, and they moved it out to the suburbs for the Braves. It's a beautiful new place, but they actually moved that out of the city and put it in the suburbs. So I don't think it's going to hurt them.
What it does do, it hurts the city of Atlanta, and it hurts their fans who were probably pretty excited to go to an All-Star game. Now that opportunity is stripped away. So I was saying it might the Atlanta fans are probably the only ones that have a legitimate gripe about this whole moving thing, because they were the ones that had the opportunity kind of taken away from them. So I think that, like Ron said, it took away the Braves' opportunity to have a platform, but it also took away it hurts the city of Atlanta more than it hurts the Georgia state government that made the law. Like, the Atlanta Braves fans and the city they had nothing to do with that. So I get what they're going for, but this move doesn't really impact the legislature of Georgia. They're just going to be like, okay, baseball doesn't want to play here. Okay. But being able to have an event like that in your biggest city and being able to have a platform in your biggest city might have been a bigger impact for change, maybe, in my opinion.
Well, let's put it this way: if they didn't take that Super Bowl out of Arizona, would they ever had honored Martin Luther King?
Yeah, but a Super Bowl is a lot different than an MLB All-Star.
No, but the point is, it worked. That strategy worked,
right,
okay? And that's why this strategy might work. By pulling this game out of Atlanta, maybe they'll wise up, and maybe they'll talk about looking at this new law, which it was a solution looking for a problem. That's what this new law was.
Now, here's the interesting part of this. The National Football League pulled out not an exhibition game. They pulled out the biggest game of their schedule, the game that determines the champion. They pulled out of Arizona. Major League Baseball didn't do that. Major League Baseball pulled out an exhibition game that has no meaning in any standings whatsoever, and they pulled that game out. The National Football League did something way far worse than Major League Baseball did.
They pulled out the celebrity softball game, and that just has all the meanings in the world.
Well, maybe to the Miz because he's a really good softball player, but it's.
Well, I think most of Atlanta fans are going to be really interested in the Braves. I think the All-Star thing they'll forget about soon. It's going to hurt the economy, but the Atlanta fans, they got a great baseball team, and I think they're going to still show up and support that team.
I do too. I think, like I said earlier, I think it'll be a lot easier to rally and support a team that's winning.
But
if this would have happened in the Rangers organization or a team that's really in the bottom of the rung of the MLB, then you might see the people kind of just forget about going anyway because that was the only thing they had to look forward to. But the Braves are a contender, so they're not going to see. I don't think they'll see attendance go down.
Nor do I think Major League Baseball is going to pull the rug out of Atlanta in October if the Braves are a playoff team.
No,
but you got to admit though that sports has changed than it was 3 or 4 years ago. I remember when Kaepernick was kneeling down. A lot of sports guys wouldn't talk about it. Team sports I'm talking about. They're pretty much on the same. Even NASCAR has done some things, but sports is pretty much on the same page as far as what's been going on, and they've been consistent with it across the board. I'll give them credit, the professional sports team.
Yeah, and I think a lot of folks that are saying get politics out of sports. Politics has been in sports forever, if you think about it.
But why are we picking? I mean, well, then let's take politics out of the accountants. Let's take them out of the doctors. I mean, why we always have to put the sports guys out there? Why don't they get the same benefits as everybody else? Why can't LeBron James speak? I don't get that. Why does he have to be quiet?
I think the main reasoning on this is for a lot of folks that love sports, this is their way of getting away from real life. Their 3-hour, 2-hour, however long the game lasts. This is their opportunity to get away from the realities of life.
The caveat to that is you're watching real people, and I think it's really easy to forget that you're watching people do the sports that you like.
Well, that's the ironic part of it.
I mean,
is you're getting away from your real life, but you're watching real life.
That whole sentiment, like getting away from, that's like Gladiators. We're going to go watch Gladiators or get away from, because they really have no standard in anything because they're just people that are slaves to the Roman Empire. So that whole mindset that we are only interested in what you bring to our entertainment for an athlete, I think it's archaic, to be honest.
I'm waiting for a Russell Crowe person to pick up a sword and say, "Are you not entertained?"
Well, nevertheless, I'm glad to be back to baseball again, enjoying it. The Tigers are in a little rain delay, but they're going to get started.
Look at the Tigers.
Yeah, you guys took 2 out of 3 from us. I don't want to hear you moaning and groaning about the Indians dominating your team anymore.
Look at Miggy in the snow.
Oh, yeah, well, talk to me after next weekend. We'll see.
Look at Miggy in the snow, man.
Yeah, I think the Tigers are obviously, they have a lot of young players, and I do believe this is all about pitching. And they won 2 games when they pitched well, and they lost the 1 game they didn't pitch well. It is about these pitchers being developed, and I see a lot of good things. And despite the Danny Norris got just knocked around yesterday, which was surprised me because he's been pitching pretty well. But they got a tough job ahead, and that's putting the players in the right positions. Who's going to be the closer? Who's going to do this? And right now you see they're pretty much experimenting, but they got to. They have all these new young arms. But and how about Akil Baddoo? I got to mention him.
Yeah, first pitch.
It's a great story.
Yeah.
He never played above single A, and I don't know how he made the team, but he did. But anyways, it's going to be a fun season. It might be a long season.
Camp, you and me, let's take over the division, shock the world. Detroit,
yeah, we don't have the hit. We don't have the hitting you guys have.
Detroit, Kansas City, 1-2. Let's go.
If Kansas City and Detroit combined, this would be a crazy good team because you'd have the Detroit pitching and the Kansas City hitting. It would be absurd.
Yeah, well, that may be the scenario 2 or 3 years down the road because I think both these teams will be really good a couple of years from now. But right now, I think Detroit's got the pitching and Kansas City's got the hitting, and how long is it going to take for them to get the other one together?
And then can they do it before they lose the other? That's the thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, besides Chicago, it's pretty much a small market division.
Right.
Okay, it's not like, Detroit masqueraded as a big market team for 10 years. They had very successful years, but they finally had to just gut everything because they just couldn't afford to pay all these guys.
That's the thing. I mean, if Jorge Soler keeps doing what he's doing in Kansas City, how long before one of the bigger fish come and start nibbling at him to try to get him out? You know what I mean?
Well, and this is where when the strike happens or when the negotiations happen after the season, you're not going to get a salary cap for the game. What I'd like to see, and I think Terry Pluto wrote an article in Cleveland.com about this, if they were to take a page from the NBA's playbook and say each team is allowed to have a superstar contract where they can sign their one guy to a 5 or 6 year deal for X amount of money, and that will take the place of the salary cap. Players Union would never go for that. So my idea would be, instead of a salary cap ceiling, have a salary cap floor. Now, management wouldn't go for this, but if you get, as a caveat, okay, we're going to have a floor, you're going to have to spend $75 million absolute minimum in your payroll. But the caveat is you're going to get your player for another year. So instead of 6 years, it's now 7 years. And the first 4 years are Major League Baseball will determine how much money you get. Years 5, 6, and 7 is arbitration. I think that would even things up a whole lot better.
Yeah, the NBA has the bird rule, which gives them the ability of teams keeping their own stars by being able to give them more money. But all those sports, as you know, has a salary cap. So you can't really do that in baseball. Although I would like to see in baseball put together they give luxury tax back. Why couldn't they take that luxury tax, put it into fund for these small market teams that they want to keep one of their stars? That baseball sets up where they can take some of that money to pay their stars over and above what they normally can do. Maybe do something like that. Because I think the issue in baseball is I think teams just hate to see their star players. They come up to the minor leagues after 5 years, be out of here.
Yeah.
That can be a killer for a small market team. I just think we need to fix that somehow.
Well, you're seeing it in Cleveland when they traded away Lindor. So many Indians fans are like, "Well, I'm not looking forward to this season. Frankly, I don't care about the Indians anymore." Which, to me, okay, I understand to a degree. I understand your frustration, but you're not rooting for just one player. You're rooting for an entire team.
Tell that to all the LeBron fans out there.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Hey, Champ, always a pleasure. Sure, we get it, scat. See ya.
Go Tigers.
Yeah, he had to throw that in. Yeah, took 2 out of 3 from us. I don't ever want to hear him moan and groan about the Indians owning the Tigers. You just took 2 out of 3 from us.
He can still do it because it's like, what, now it's last couple seasons, it's 24-5 maybe. The
they got 2 wins. That's, congratulations to you. Bob Hannon coming up next. Stick around, more to come.
Your teams work hard and give it all they've got. Well, so does ours, because 21 Sports and YSN give you extra effort when covering local sports. 21 Sports and YSN, winning coverage of our Valley's teams.
No matter what the weather, be prepared with a reliable, efficient Rude gas furnace or air conditioner from MPV.
Vivo, we rely on Rude, and so should you.
Myers Family Insurance knows the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is October 15th through December 7th. Now's the time to make sure your plan continues to meet your needs for the upcoming year.
Call today.
It's storm season.
I think we're under the gun for some heavy storms over the next couple of hours.
And Storm Tracker 21 is ready.
This is probably the one we're keeping a closer eye on.
On air.
And locally, we're going to have a lot of eyes on our area.
Online.
All right, let's talk high-risk futurecast and the timing of this weather.
On social media and on our app.
Notice we'll have scattered showers on Thursday.
Stay ready with Storm Tracker 21.
The severe weather threat now through around sunset this evening.
Save more during the Extra Mile Auto Show with employee pricing for everyone on some of our most popular models. Plus, get an additional $1,000 on the value of your trade. Schedule a test drive today to experience the 2021 lineup for yourself.
Your first and last stop with your tax return should be with me, Tracy Bryden at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. No other dealer goes the extra mile to bring you the largest selection of vehicles at one convenient location. With guaranteed credit approval, I will find you the right vehicle and the right financing options for you. I am ready to go the extra mile to show you why no other dealer sells more cars, finances more, and gets you more for your refund than Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
Welcome back to a Monday edition of Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Joining us as he does every Monday during football season, and I still chuckle when I say football season in the spring, be that as it may, YSU football broadcaster Bob Hannon joins us. Bob, hopefully you had a nice snooze on the plane ride back home. I understand you guys got home really, really late.
Ron, that was interesting trip for a lot of reasons. First, after the game, we actually flew home out of Moline, which was 90 minutes from Macomb. So we got home about 4 a.m. We landed in Youngstown 4 a.m. Sunday morning. And, you know, trips are trips. When you lose a tough game like that, it's a little more depressing and frustrating and very quiet. Uneventful ride home. Got home in about 50 minutes. But it was the getting to the game. I shared with you last week that we've stayed in Peoria usually, but we didn't this time. We flew into Moline, and we bussed about an hour and stayed in Galesburg, Illinois. And then on game day, we bussed down an hour to Macomb and then 90 minutes back to Moline. So we were on the run quite a bit. And just unfortunately, the result of the game, that was the most disappointing part of the weekend.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about this. It looked like YSU was in somewhat decent control in the first half, but boy, give Western Illinois all kinds of credit. They came out in the second half, and even though they missed two field goals, two gimme chip shot field goals, they were still able to put some serious points on the board in the second half.
Right. If I get a vote at the end of the year for all conference, unless I see something different the next 2 weeks, I'd vote for Connor Sampson as the quarterback for first team. They have a good quarterback and good receivers, not much run game. Defensively, they've been bad this year, although they shut us out in the second half except for a field goal. I mean, he can throw it. I mean, he made some tremendous throws the other night under pressure, not a lot of space to throw into. So I was impressed with that, but still they were a winless team. And I thought the biggest play, Ron, was we go up 24-13, seemed to have the momentum, double-digit lead, and then the kickoff after the field goal, they returned for a touchdown, and everything seemed to change. We didn't score again the last 25 minutes of playing time, and that seemed to turn the game, in my opinion, that kickoff return, where they were able to close right back after we went up by 11.
Yeah, Tony Tate caught 3 passes for 72 yards, 2 receiving touchdowns. He was the guy that returned the kickback 95 yards for a touchdown. Tony Tate, I got to imagine he is going to be in Coach Phillips' nightmares for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, he hurt us, that's for sure. He made some catches, but the kick return, and then even the punt return. We gave up 2 special team scores. That was a short punt return because we had terrible field position. We couldn't get a first down. That put them up 7-0. So you give up 2 special team scores, 2 interceptions in the fourth quarter, and still had an opportunity either to tie or win the game, and just wasn't able to get it done.
Yeah, I was going to ask about the two special team scores they gave up. I mean, those are ones that really can be backbreakers because your defense didn't have anything to do with it. And you take 14 points off the board, YSU wins. You take 7 points off the board, YSU wins. It's to be expected. It's a young team still, and it's a first-year coach and everything. What does that do going forward? I mean, what do they have to work on to make sure that never happens again?
Well, that's a good question. I think there is a lot of youth. I think what surprised me the most, Anthony, was the entire game, especially the second half. They blitzed every play. I mean, every single play. You've got to have something in your game plan or your arsenal where you can throw screens or draws to be able to overcome that kind of pressure. I mean, they were, and if we could, you saw the early touchdown run by Jaleel McLaughlin. Once they blitzed and he got through the first wave, there was nobody there. But in the second half, we couldn't get past the first wave. McLaughlin had 113 yards at halftime, finished with 125. So how do you get past that? I think you get better, you become more experienced, maybe a little more mature. Special teams, you got to look at it this week. We had a short punt. We had bad field position. So I don't know. I think that we all felt, I think, in the travel party that it was going to be a competitive game. I don't think any of us felt we were going to walk in there and blow them out, but I think we all felt that we would have find a way to win that game and probably be able to run the ball. Felt really good at halftime because I think we rushed for almost 200 yards in the first half. But in the second half, we couldn't run it anymore. And they just kept coming with safeties and linebackers. Lawson, their safety, I mean, he had an all-world game. He had an interception. He made a lot of tackles. He had a lot of tackles up near the line of scrimmage because they were putting their corners in a one-on-one situation, and they had their safeties right up near the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, and Mark Wade wound up 20 of 28 for a $186. Threw a touchdown pass. He was picked off twice, including the last drive that was the backbreaker. But yeah, I'm with you, Bob. I was a little surprised. All the first 3 or 4 games of the year where Youngstown State wasn't throwing the ball down the field, but was dinking and dunking when they were throwing the ball. I was a little surprised that they didn't do some of that, noticing that Western Illinois was throwing everything but the kitchen sink at times, especially in the second half, why we weren't throwing screens or misdirection of some sort.
And I'll ask Coach Phillips that tonight, what he thought about how do you overcome that when a team's blitzing every play. And, why weren't we able to be effective? Because we went up 24-13. You're right, Ron, with 10 minutes to play in the third quarter. We didn't score again, so that's 25 minutes of football. We didn't put any points on the board. I mean, you would have never believed that would happen against Western Illinois. We did take some shots, downfield. We hit a big pass play that was more of a run to Coates. Natavius Payne had 4 receptions, 65 yards. He got behind the secondary. Maybe just didn't do it enough. But when they were blitzing and Wade did go back to throw, he didn't have a lot of time. And I am more and more convinced Mark Wade is much better on the move. Those 2 interceptions were from the pocket. You mentioned his numbers, 20 of 28. I think that's 71% completion. You'd take that every week and 186 yards, but it's those 2 interceptions in the fourth quarter that really put a blemish on his statistics. That they both were big. The second one ended the game. The one before that also led to a score for Western.
Positive is that Jake Coates got the school record for punt return yards, and that's a record that has been held since 1994. Talk about how that special is to him, and what kind of advantage that brings to have a weapon like that on your punt return team.
Well, he's got good hands, which is what you want. But what I've seen, Anthony, is that I don't know, today's game, I don't see a lot of, that was an anomaly the other night, a punt and kick return for a touchdown. Usually you see fair catches, and you don't see a lot of big plays in the punt return game. In fact, Doug Phillips told me last week that analytics, which sometimes can drive us crazy, it's better to fair catch kickoffs and start at the 25-yard line. So we really, just about every kickoff, if it's in play, we fair catch, start at the 25. He said with the block in the back and holding and the risk of a turnover, it's not even worth it to return kickoffs. So you don't see a lot of special teams plays. Coates broke one for a touchdown last year. He is dangerous. He had a big return the other night of about 15 yards. So So if he gets some space, but with the way these guys punt today, there aren't a lot of opportunities to make plays at returning kicks.
Bob, obviously last week the Penguins did not play. The week before, they were supposed to have played North Dakota. That game was postponed, moved to April the 17th. How big of a factor was that in the fact that the Penguins had not played in a couple of weeks? How big of a factor was that?
I don't think it helped us. I think there was a lot of frustration not playing the North Dakota game because I thought we were feeling pretty good about how we were playing. So I don't think it helped us. I don't think you can use an excuse or a reason why we lost, but I don't think having an off week, 4 or 5 games into your season helps you. I think we felt like each week we were getting better and, building some momentum. So probably, if anything, it was not a positive for Youngstown State going into that game. But, all that being said, we had a chance and probably got away. They're a team that, I was thinking about looking at their schedule, and they've got a couple tough games. They might win one of them. They've got some tough road ahead, I think, Western, to compete in this conference, unless they put some money into their football program. But they seem to always give us a battle out there.
When you look at, YSU is the only game in the Missouri Valley Conference this week because a lot of cancellations around the conference, but McLaughlin still won Freshman of the Week for his efforts, and I think his numbers earned that, even though they were the only game. He continues to impress week in and week out.
Well, 4 straight games over 100 yards. He's a good back. When he gets in the secondary, he's running away from guys, and some guys with pretty good speed in some of these defensive backs. I think we found that running back for sure. He's he's good. He's good at anybody we've seen. I know Strong out at South Dakota State's had a couple good years and was preseason all-conference, but right now I would think Jaleel would be a first-team all-conference player, and we're going to have him for a couple more years as well, which is a really good thing. You talked earlier about some of the youth as well in that offensive line, and maybe the second half, with all those blitzes and coming at us, that hurt us. And maybe it wasn't so much Jaleel only rushing for 12 yards. It was that he just didn't have any holes to run through, because it was something to watch in person. Every single play, 7, 8 coming, and they weren't afraid to put their corners one-on-one. And if other teams try to do that, I think you're right. I think you'll see McLaughlin. I think we'll adjust. He'll make some big runs. And I would think most teams the rest of the way, in the 2 games we have, Missouri State and North Dakota, they're going to come. They're going to do what Western Illinois did, and until we are successful against it, they'll keep sending people.
Missouri State, North Dakota, the final 2 games on the schedule. I feel bad for both of these teams. North Dakota loses a game this week where they had their game canceled against Illinois State. Missouri State is going to be losing their game against North Dakota because there's no room for a makeup. Because April 17th is when Youngstown State and North Dakota make up their games. So these 2 teams are only going to play 6 conference games, where South Dakota State and North Dakota State are going to wind up playing 7. And I say this because both North Dakota and Missouri State are currently in a 4-way tie for first place. It doesn't look like either one of these teams are going to win the division because they're going to have 1 fewer game.
Yeah, Ron, it's a mess right now. You're right. There's only 1 makeup date, and it'll be probably head-to-head will be number 1. That's going to have to be. Even if say you're 5-1 and another team's 6-1. If you're 5-1 and you gave that 6-1 team their only loss, you could get the nod to get in the playoffs over them. I think the 2 best teams. I think South Dakota State's the best team, but not by a lot. Now they were supposed to play North Dakota State last Saturday. They will play on the 17th, as it stands now. North Dakota State's coming on. They blew out North Dakota. Missouri State's the one that's interesting because they played 3 games back in the fall. They played Central Arkansas twice. And our Central Arkansas was pretty good. They were both good games, and they were blown out by Oklahoma. They had a money game. So they're really 4-4, but they're 4-1 in the league. If somehow Missouri State wins out in the league, I don't think you can keep them out of the playoffs.
Yeah, we had that discussion last week, and so you said South Dakota State you think is the better team. It's probably going to come down to that game between South Dakota State and North Dakota State. Do you think winner of that game takes the conference?
I do. I think that'll be the team that wins it. And the only reason I think they're better is I thought They were a little better at quarterback. They're still struggling. When North Dakota State blew out North Dakota, they only threw for like 60 yards. They sort of adopted our style. They had a fullback rush against North Dakota for almost 200. So they aren't throwing the ball at all. I think South Dakota could throw it a little bit better, and I think they're every bit as good defensively. So that's why I thought South Dakota State would win that game. But North Dakota State, they know how to win. They've been there. That game will be in the Fargo Dome. But Ron and I talked about this, Anthony. I think we'll get 2 for sure. Probably be a long shot to get 3 teams in the playoffs when there's only going to be 16 going to the postseason.
One would imagine that if you have 2 losses in the league play or in the regular season, forget about it, which would, unless Missouri State wins the conference, I don't think they get into the postseason, which is a damn shame that you're going to hold those 3 losses in the fall against them. But the reality is they only have 1 game left this year, and that's against Youngstown State. So if they win this game, they're 5-1 in the league, 5-4 overall. But 5-1 in the league is not going to win them a league championship unless the 3 teams in front of them all get 2 losses.
Yeah, you're right, Ron. And one of their losses was to Oklahoma, so anybody in our league would have lost to Oklahoma. So they had a money game, and if you didn't play in the fall, you didn't have the money game. So it is unfair that you hold it against them. When you look at their loss is to North Dakota State 25-0. So if North Dakota State wins out, Missouri State wins out, North Dakota State would get the nod because they beat Missouri State. But if Missouri State would win out, and then South Dakota State beats North Dakota State and gives them a second loss, I don't know how they're going to do this, Ron. Because you're right. Their game on the 17th against Illinois State is a no-go because Illinois State packed it in and quit playing football. So there'll be some tough decisions to make come April on who's going to get in the playoffs.
Can you imagine the bizarro world we would live in if Missouri State took North Dakota State's playoff spot?
Oh, my. Yeah, they were picked. They in Western Illinois were picked tied to finish last in our conference.
Wow.
Yeah, this is going to be an amazing finish, and amazing may not be a very good vernacular this year, unfortunately. One would hope that you get 3 teams out of the Missouri Valley Football Conference because, North Dakota State, North Dakota, and South Dakota State only have 1 loss each. But before the end of the season, one would expect at least one of these teams to suffer their second loss, and North Dakota State does play South Dakota State. And if North Dakota decides to lose to Youngstown State on the 17th, then there would be 2 teams that would have 2 losses in this league. So you would only have 1 representative if you're only going to use the minimum 1-loss requirement or maximum 1-loss requirement to be in the top 16. I don't know how the hell they're going to do this, Bob.
And I think, Ron, you'll find whether it's 1 team in the playoffs or 3, I think you'll find 1 team from our conference in the championship game. I don't know if they'll win it. I know James Madison's had some problems getting games in because of COVID, but I think you'll have a team from our conference play in that championship. Now, Youngstown State, the one fun thing for the Penguins is they could spoil both Missouri State and North Dakota's playoff run the next 2 weeks. So, we're in a situation where we can knock 1 or 2 teams maybe out of the playoffs.
Yeah, a lot of people outside of Youngstown will be rooting for the Penguins to try to secure a playoff spot for themselves. And they're going to be that spoiler, and that can really rally a team, especially after a loss like this week. You need something that's really going to rally you into next week. And I think that could be one of the things.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a good game for us to go in knowing we're playing a team that's fighting for a playoff, that's up and coming, that's played some good football, and I think it's a good situation for us. It'd be nice to finish with 2. I hope we do play well, at least, and be competitive and be in both those games. I think we will. I think both games will be close and we'll have a chance.
I'm looking at the other FCS schools, and Eastern Tennessee State is 4-1. VMI is 5-1. VMI actually just got their first loss handed to them by Eastern Tennessee State. Murray State lost their first game of the year to Austin Peay. Davidson has 1 loss on the campaign. the rest of this, Arkansas Pine Bluff is undefeated. Weber State is undefeated. Eastern Washington has 1 loss. Southern U beat Jackson State. Deion Sanders' team, who by the way is 3-2. The rest of this, I don't see a whole lot of 1-loss teams here.
And Weber State escaped 2 weeks ago with a Hail Mary to win one of those games. So they're undefeated, but they've shown a lot of chinks in their armor as well.
Yeah, if you get in from, it's been proven, if you get in from our conference, you can make a deep run. South Dakota State's been in the Final Four. A couple of years ago, Illinois State lost to North Dakota State in the championship. It was a great championship game. So if you're able to navigate through our conference and get into the postseason, whether it's 16 or 24 teams, you're going to be in position to go deep and maybe win a championship.
Well, hopefully the Penguins bounce back, knock off Missouri State, leave no doubt that they don't belong in the playoffs, and then do the same to North Dakota and end the spring campaign with a 3-5 record. And it would be a 3-5 record, and then just go from there.
Hope so, guys. I hope we're talking next Monday about giving Missouri State their second loss and looking ahead to April 17th for the final home game.
Amen to that. Bob, always a pleasure, sir.
All right, guys. Talk to you next week. Have a good week.
All righty. Bob Hannon, the voice of the YSU football Penguins, joining us as he does every Monday during the Penguin football season.
They're at Missouri State, right?
Yes.
Where in Missouri is Missouri State?
Springfield.
Okay.
Yeah. Over near Branson.
Right.
Yeah. Branson. Yeah, Branson, Missouri. That's where Yakov Smirnoff is still doing his stand-up routine.
That's where they have factory outlet malls that you can buy mistakes at.
Oh, yeah. Well, isn't Grove City, their outlets, aren't they the same thing?
Well, the Branson outlet malls are more like they're more like flea markets, giant flea markets almost. So you instead of there's a Nike store at Grove City and that's an outlet. I think Branson's more of like a factory outlet mall, so they get more of the, kind of the flea market kind of.
Okay,
feel.
so the difference between the two, if you have the tiniest of mistakes,
right,
you can't sell that as a quote product.
One time we went to Branson to their factory outlet mall. They had a Bible with typos in it.
They had a what?
They had a Bible with a couple of typos, like a misprinted Bible.
I mean, it all depends on which part is going to be, incorrect here. I mean,
in that class we're going to read about Adam and Steve. Oh wait, crap.
I mean, if they get certain parts of the Bible wrong, you probably don't even want to sell that at that point.
And gob.
Yeah, gob. Okay, yeah, that's you have to put that out. Put a D next to that. Thank you very much. That's
you can buy a pair of pants with a collar.
Lord. Yeah. It just all depends on the mistake. I mean, I feel like that's the Island of Misfit Toys.
The step grandfather clock,
Yeah, it's like the Island of Misfit Toys.
Right.
The choo-choo train that has the square wheels.
Hey, there are some things with mistakes. Like if you get like this, but it has a little mistake, it's worth a huge amount of money because it's so rare because it was obviously put out of circulation. Like money with mistakes.
Oh yeah,
super rare. If you have a coin with a mistake or something, you're sitting on a lot of money.
I think that there's a baseball card in the late '80s. I want to say in '89, 89 or 90. The former president George Herbert Walker Bush had a baseball card because he was the first baseman at Yale, and they screwed up his statistics. So they only made a certain number of cards, but if you have one of those cards, it's worth buku megabucks. So
you screwed up the statistics of the president of the United States.
Well, I mean, he was a jabroni back then. He was only a college first baseman.
When he became president, he brought all of hell on to the people that messed up his statistics.
Oh, I'm sure he did. I'm sure he did. I mean, after all, he was the guy that replaced Lou Gehrig, for God's sake. Or one of the people after Lou Gehrig. It was in Yale. It was Columbia. Because that's where Gehrig went to school.
General, I want you to find this man that printed this card for Yale. You bring him to me.
Oh, Lordy. Yeah, I can only imagine.
I don't care what the resources are. You do it.
Yeah, I don't care how much the taxpayers are going to pay. You are going to bring me this person
man
who screwed my statistics up in college baseball.
He is the enemy of the state.
Oh, God. Actually, what you should do is get about 5 or 6 of those cards because they're worth, I don't know, $20,000 each. And then you got a pretty nice little payday there. I'm just saying.
Take off work for a couple of years.
I think you probably could. All right, 330-886-0813, the MP Vivo heating and air conditioning hotline open for business. We'll take a time out, be back with more in a bit. Stick around.
Your first and last stop with your tax return should be with me, Tracy Bryden at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. No other dealer sells more cars, finances more, and gets you more for your refund than Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
WRS Wealth Advisors is the area's premier wealth and retirement specialist. With our combined 70 years experience and comprehensive wealth strategy, we assist our clients attain their goals. Call 330-965-0370 to learn more about our individual and corporate financial planning services, or visit wrswealthadvisors.com. Good luck, athletes!
Hi everyone, this is DJ Yoakley with Your Sports Network. We appreciate your support of YSN and welcome you to the YSN family. Our broadcast streams are brought to you live at no cost to you by sponsors that are local to this community. Without the vision and generosity of our sponsors and partners, we would not be able to bring this game to you today. So please support the great businesses and leaders that are making this game possible. And if you're a business in need of great advertising and sponsorship opportunities, feel free to head over to our site for more information on the right fit for you. We are local, we are loyal, and we are live. We are YSN.
Ah, the details. Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods is one fine ride. Perfect cornering, superb handling, sporty and stylish, power to spare, plus awesome mileage. Yeah, jaw-droppingly beautiful lines and well appointed with luxurious trim. Put more oomph in your life and start beholding the molding. Find your home's fine hardwood at BairdBrothers.com.
For heating, cooling, and indoor air quality, the Mahoning Valley trusts MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning, offering worry-free repair, service, and installation. Call MP Vivo today for a free estimate.
MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. We're your energy-efficient experts.
Planning a project around your home or rental property? Trust the electrical service to the local experts with 62 years of serving the Mahoning Valley. Joe Dickey Electric is your local go-to source for responsive, reliable residential electrical work. From everyday maintenance and repairs to new installations, electrical upgrades, and safety inspections, no job is too big or too small. Call Joe Dickey Electric today, 800-549-3976, or visit DickeyElectric.com. That's DickeyElectric.com.
Welcome back to a Monday edition of Running Point, presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Ron Potesta with you alongside Anthony Hartwig. MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline open for business, 330-886-0813. With you until 3 o'clock, at which time DJ and the fellas are doing. Are we doing?
I think there's a power hour. DJ just won't be the host.
Yeah, that's.
I think Quinn's taking control today.
The mighty Quinn. The mighty Quinn will do the. Will do this. He's going to take the reins and have a little bit of fun with this. I am going to be. Well, at least I'm hoping that I'm going to be umpiring today. And I'm looking at the forecast. It's not supposed to rain till 10 o'clock tonight.
See, that's funny because when we started the show, it said 5 o'clock.
Yeah, because I'm looking at the forecast for the place that I'm going to be in today. And it says 15% chance of rain, bumped up to 24 at 6 o'clock, and then back down to 14% at 7 o'clock, 16% at 8 o'clock, 23% at 9 o'clock, and then the rain starts forming at 10.
Don't you just love the weather app?
Oh, yeah. How many times have we sat back and said
you check it at 11 o'clock and it's like, oh, you have a 50% chance of rain at 2, and then you check it 3 hours later at 2:30. Well, you know what? You're not going to rain until 10 at night.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
This is the reason why I don't trust any weather forecast past a certain point.
Thank you, weather app.
For turning my picnic into a sog fest. Oh, Lordy. Speaking of, hopefully we'll get plenty of games on the field, and obviously
let's run down the schedule for the day.
Indeed.
See what we got. So as we said before, DJ is down at Canfield right now. They're playing, right now they started at 1 o'clock. Canfield versus Newton Falls. I'm looking at the wrong day. No, I got it. Canfield versus Newton Falls. Billy and Quinn took that game at 4:30. It must have got moved up. I checked this morning. It said they played at 1. So now Quinn and Billy have that game at 4:30 is Canfield versus Newton Falls. Fitch and Benedictine did play at 1 o'clock. They're going to Fitch versus, Fitch hosting Benedictine. DJ moved to Salem. They're hosting Crestview. Normal time at 5. These are all baseball games, by the way. Champion is hosting LeBray. That'll be on ysnlive.com as well. Struthers is hosting Girard. That will be Steve. Leslie will have the call there from Scene 1. Poland is hosting Jefferson. That'll be on ysnlive.com. East Palestine hosting Columbiana. Alec will be calling that game. And then Hubbard is hosting Niles. And Jamie Thompson will have that one. Softball. I will be at United as they welcome in Lisbon, a big game in the EOAC. Struthers is hosting Girard. The school at Struthers will be taking care of that. They've been doing a great job for us basketball season and now softball, baseball. And we will also have Boardman hosting Louisville. Ian O'Brien will be there. We're excited to get Louisville in the area. And, they're reigning state champs. So to get them on YSN, big ups. And
they're D2, correct?
They're D2.
Okay.
D1.
No, they're
softball.
D1. Okay.
D1, sorry. They won the D1 state championship over Lakota East in 10 innings in 2019.
Nice.
So.
And the last time that we had...
last time we had the softball
season.
Of course, their roster looks a lot different than it did, but they're still a very formidable softball program.
Outstanding. So that's our schedule for today.
So I don't know why the Canfield game moved. I wasn't informed of that. But it will be at 4:30 now. Canfield hosting Newton Falls.
One would assume then that they're not going to be doing no power hour if you're
Quinn sent out the link. So there will be a power hour.
I wonder if they're going to be.
I don't know if you're going to see DJ or if you're going to see Quinn hosting it. I don't know what. I'm not.
Well, no one's going to be down here in headquarters. I can promise you that.
Well,
you can't.
DJ might be back down here. I don't even know if he's sitting right there. I mean, he was scheduled to do a game at Canfield at 1.
Yeah.
Obviously, that game got moved. So he might. I mean, he might be over. We can't see. The door's closed.
Yeah.
So
the Salem game is at 5,
and it's not too far away from.
No,
here,
no, he could
run
make
power hour from here and then go to Salem.
and then go to Salem.
So who knows? We'll find out.
Yeah.
We're kind of dead to the world while we're on the air.
This is true.
Bit. I mean, we have my phone, but unless it's sent to the group chat, I'm sitting here like, okay.
Yeah, we're just going to do our show and just we're dead to the world then.
Hey, we had a Kansas City Chiefs coach. I kind of shut off everything else.
Yeah. As soon as someone says Kansas City Chiefs, my man's ears go.
Like that neighbor on Home Improvement.
Yeah. Congratulations again to Coach Donald DeLisio. I still am blown away by that jump from YSU to LSU to the Kansas City Chiefs,
all in a year and a half.
Yeah, that's an amazing jump. And
it proves how important it is to make contacts and to keep relationships. Because he said it, he got that job because he had a relationship with someone that was on the coaching staff. There was a spot that opened up, and they mentioned him, and then it rolled from there. But it's so important to make contacts, make relationships with people, don't burn bridges, and you never know where it'll take you down the line.
Yeah, absolutely. And the same is said when you're going to the winter meetings for a baseball job.
And that goes for recruits. So, recruits. So you make contacts with coaches.
Yep.
Make connections. That's how you get into coaches' ears. And don't lose those connections because you just never know where they'll take you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Which is a good note for a lot of high school juniors that hopefully, knock on wood, they have their senior season. And hopefully they'll be recruited, and hopefully the kids are hearing from coaches right now, and we'll go from there.
And I put up, I have the weekly softball blog, the Hot Corner on YSN Live every week. This week my special guest was Rachel Lawson, head coach at Kentucky, and she speaks a lot about what she looks for as a recruit, what she thinks about what you have to go through. So if you're interested in it, especially as a softball player, trying to navigate the recruiting waters, definitely go check out that interview because she throws in a lot of gems of how to get into the recruiting aspect and how to, especially in this world, because we've changed a lot. Social media has become a big part of recruiting because coaches can't go to games.
Let me ask you, while you have that subject up, was grades the number one part of all of this?
She did say, everyone looks at grades first because if the grades aren't there, then it doesn't matter how good of a player.
Yeah, exactly.
And we also talked with her about early specialization, and she is an advocate that there's no place for it in the sport of softball. That's her opinion, that there's no reason you should be a early specialization, and she tries to stay away from kids that are only playing one sport. So we've talked about it before. Multiple sports will get you places, not just in little colleges, but Kentucky, who's ranked 7th in the country right now, their coach eyes in on multiple sport athletes before she looks at people that are early specialists.
And she's a high majority of college coaches that feel that way now. I think that you are now looking at the advent of the multi-sport athlete now being preferred by a high majority of college coaches in today's landscape rather than the single sports star. Doesn't mean there isn't a home for the single sports star.
No, look, if you're the only people that I see specializing are the people that know they're going Division I, Power 5, and you have that special talent. And there's also something to be said about people that try the other sports and just don't have the fit. They don't like. I have to play just softball or I have no value, or whatever your sport is. That's when people get into trouble. If you have the passion for softball, you try the other sports, you're either not good at them or you just don't have a passion for it, then stick with softball. But if you're doing it just because you feel pigeonholed and pressured that if I don't specialize in this sport, I'm not going to make it, that's just a ludicrous idea.
Well, and it's a non-factual idea as well.
Especially to stick into a head of a 12-year-old to say, because we're talking early specialization. So if you go to a 10 or 12-year-old and be like, if you do not stick to softball, you will not get a college scholarship. If anyone tells you that or tells your daughter that, if any coach tells your daughter that, they're lying to you flat out.
Yeah.
Period. Yeah. And it doesn't matter what level you think your daughter can play at. If you really think your daughter can play Power 5 coaches, I just talked to Rachel Lawson, who's coaching the 7th-ranked team in the country. It's absolutely not true, even if you want to go play at the elite level.
Yeah, don't walk, run away from that person.
Right,
because they're feeding you a line of garbage.
They want your money.
Exactly.
I'm telling you, they want you in their program, and they want you solidifying that program, and it's just not true.
And they want your money, unfortunately.
They want your money.
And unfortunately, there is a lot of people running shady businesses like that, which is a damn shame.
How about I'm getting ready for that interview with Coach Lawson and their SID, Chris Schultz, who I can't speak highly about enough because he handled me with just as much time and respect that he would have if I worked for ESPN. And then there's some rinky-dink guy that's writing a softball blog. But so I'm getting ready, and he emails me. He goes, all right, we'll be off with ESPN in a few minutes, and then we'll be there. So I'm like, oh, all I have to do is follow up ESPN's interview. That's all
there
I
you go.
got into.
No problem there. Yeah, I mean,
so it was one of those humbling moments to know that like I'm about to interview someone that just got done with a conference call with the ESPN broadcasters that are doing their game over the weekend. So it was a really fun interview. I think everyone should go check it out.
Yeah, I would be like, yeah, okay. That's good.
Cool.
That's fantastic. Look good to know. Duly noted. Not that I'm going to be worried about any of that because I have my questions to ask this person, and there you go. But yeah, it's refreshing to hear more and more Division I coaches sit back and say, you don't have to just be a one-sport athlete. Actually, we prefer a multi-sport athlete over a one-sport athlete when it comes time to dueling up scholarships.
Yeah, and she used the word hate. She said, I hate early specialization. So, I mean, she probably tries to stay away from the players that are, because you don't want burnout when you're getting a Division I player. You don't want them in their sophomore year to lose their passion for the sport because they've been burned out before they reach the age of 16. So she really, I mean, she probably stays away, from those early specialization players.
330-886-0813, the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline open for business. We'll take a time out, be back with more. It's a Monday edition of Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown.
New things happen all day. Some are good, some not so good. In today's complicated world, while you're busy working, playing, and living life, we're busy helping you make sense of the day's news. And there's only one place where it comes together with clarity, context, and accountability. It's 21 News at 6 with me, Madison Tromler, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 6. It's what the day's news really means to you.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends, shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring, and, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Hi, this is Jim Myers with Myers Family Insurance, your local Medicare and retirement resource. We're excited to have sports back. Whether you're on the field or cheering from the stands, sports unifies communities and brings hope for the future. We're all one team working together. At Myers Family Insurance, we know the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is October 15th through December 7th. Now's the time to make sure your plan continues to meet your needs for the upcoming year.
Call today.
Hi, I'm Colin Chupa. And I'm Kelsey Clem from K-Squared Marketing. Our boutique marketing firm specializes in media planning and buying, public relations, event marketing strategies, and strategic sponsorships. We can integrate our services with your existing game plan, or we can be your entire marketing team. Your goals, our game plan. Let's win together. Call K-Squared Marketing at 330-623-2730 or visit ksquared.marketing to learn more.
Hubbard Chevrolet, Hubbard can help you get the financing you need regardless of your situation. I'm Tony Page, and I've helped thousands of customers in Northeast Ohio and Western Pennsylvania buy a vehicle. Bad credit, no problem. I can get you approved for a low-interest loan and maybe even a low-payment lease on a new car at the #1 Chevy dealership in Trumbull County for 3 years in a row. Visit HubbardChevy.com to get pre-approved or come see me, Tony Page, to get a new vehicle today. Remember, folks, Hubbard can help.
Baird Brothers remains your source for fine hardwood products. For the time being, we're open for customer pickup only on weekdays, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Saturday from 9 a.m. till noon. Place your order online at BairdBrothers.com. Baird Brothers, for the place you love.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
The 4M Company, being an architect and construction manager for over 40 years, has had the opportunity to use many different electrical businesses for our projects. The depth, quality, and knowledge and attention to detail displayed by Dickey Electric makes them stand out above all the rest.
For state-of-the-art expertise and a timeless commitment to our customers, contact Joe Dickey Electric. We are everything electrical.
The 2021 Auto Show must go on.
Exclusively at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Save more during the Extra Mile Auto Show with employee pricing for everyone on some of our most popular models. Plus, get an additional $1,000 on the value of your trade. Schedule a test drive today to experience the 2021 lineup for yourself.
Visit GreenwoodAutoShow.com to see how Greenwood Chevrolet can go the extra mile for you.
Welcome back to a Monday edition of Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline open for business, 330-886-0813. That's 330-886-0813. Top of the second inning, Champ should be happy. Detroit, Champ wouldn't be happy with us. The Twins have a 6-0 lead on the Detroit Tigers. It is 6-0, and we just got a grand slam off the bat of Mr. Cruz. Just hit a grand salami in the top of the second inning to give the Twins a 6-0 lead on Detroit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nelson Cruz is a dangerous hitter.
Yeah, Urania just got served up, Nelson Cruz style. So the Twins have a 6-0 lead on Detroit. A little surprising. Detroit is playing afternoon baseball today. It's not like they have a home opener. They opened the season at home. They're playing tomorrow at 1 o'clock in the afternoon as well. Are they doing the early part of the season afternoon games in Detroit? I think that would be refreshing.
I don't know.
Because I'm looking at the schedule now. 1:10 on Wednesday. I mean, this is weird. Personally, again, if you're going to be playing home in
Detroit, it's going to be a lot warmer in the day than it is when the night temperatures go down.
Thank you. So if you're going to be doing games in the Midwest, upper Midwest, or in the northern part of the country, in April, this early in April, I would have played games at 1 in the afternoon. Absolutely. I mean, it's not like, in Cleveland's case, you're COVID. It's not like you're opening up the entire ballpark. You're only allowed to sell 11,000 tickets, so why not play games in the daytime? You might as well get the players comfortable in some pretty decent weather, or at least the warmest it's going to be during the daytime.
The 4 o'clock is kind of weird because then the shadows kind of start to play in a factor as the sun goes down below the field. So 4 o'clock is a really weird start time for baseball.
It's a 4:10 start today in Cleveland. I'm with you on this one. I think it should have been at 1:10.
Because the sun goes down behind the stadium, right?
Yes.
The stadium faces east, so the sun sets behind it.
No, the stadium is facing north.
So the sun goes this way?
Yeah, the sun goes from the
sets in the west.
Right side all the way down to the left side. So it's going to set behind the left field.
See, when I say facing, I mean like center field is south then, right?
Yeah, center field is north.
Center field is north.
Yeah, center field is north.
Then it rises in the east So that's in the west.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
I got my directions mixed.
Yeah, center field is, well, actually, not due north.
No.
It would be like northeast. North and east.
North enough.
Yeah. North and east. So if you did an afternoon game, you would have the sun. Would it bother the players? I don't think it would. I highly doubt it would bother the players. I mean, there are some certain complexes where you're set to the east or to the west, which is absurd.
What you have to worry about is like I said, the shadows that come in past home plate, and before they get to the pitcher, that makes it really hard to hit when you're throwing into this.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If you have the shadow on the mound and then the ball explodes out of the pitcher's hand and then it goes into sunlight, oh man, you're screwed.
He's throwing it 120 miles an hour.
You can't. It's tough enough to see a baseball coming out of the pitcher's hand, which just is beyond crazy. How guys are able to catch the spin of a ball based on how the pitcher throws a curveball, and they can see the spin of the ball. I don't know how anyone can see that.
Like they can see it sometimes, not very often, because the best hitters hit 300. So, half the time they're guessing.
Tony Gwynn used to say
he can see the dot.
He could see the dot. To which I'm just like looking at. Well, then again, you're a 300-plus hitter, or you were a 300-plus hitter.
You proved it.
Yeah, but I just it would boggle my mind if I were in the batter's box and you see the pitcher in the shadows because the sun is at a point where you now have shadows on the mound, gorgeous sunshine in between, shadows at home plate. I mean, good luck trying to hit that baseball. That's you have to do a whole lot of guessing.
And even if Tony Gwynn could see the dot, which I believe that he could, because why would he lie about that? He probably didn't see it every time. He probably just said, "Yeah, I can see it. I see it sometimes." But sometimes you don't see the spin. That's why a lot of the hitters look silly sometimes. And it's baseball. Your best hitters are hitting 3 out of 10 times.
Yeah, and let's be honest. I mean, you brought up something that is very legitimate. A lot of it is guessing what zone the pitch is going to be in,
right,
and lucking yourself into a hit in terms of, all right, is this guy going to throw me a fastball, a slider, a changeup, a curveball, blah, 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 blah. And you have to guess the zone and hope and pray that you've got enough bat on the ball to get the ball.
And then after all that, you have to hope and pray that it lands somewhere where there's no defender. So, that's why, of course, averages are low.
Yeah. And it's the only game in which you can do a duck snort where it drops in and hit the ball on the screws and have nothing to show for it. It evens itself out. In a 162-game season, it evens itself out.
You do everything right. You hit a line drive, and it goes right to the center fielder. It doesn't make him move an inch, and he's just like, got this.
Yeah.
And you're like, what the heck?
And then you do everything wrong,
right,
where you just bloop one, and it's going to land in the Bermuda Triangle, and you get a base hit. So it's crazy. It's baseball.
Drives me nuts, man. It's like if I put that anywhere else, it would have been a base hit or a double, but I put it in the one spot where the guy was to catch it. It's just like...
Yeah. There's nothing you can do about it. And it happens more often than not to the guys that are in the slumps. That, I'm 0 for my last
weird.
20. Yeah. I just hit the crap out of this ball, but it lands in the defender's glove.
Hit it, you crush it, and someone brings it back over the wall.
Yeah.
And
you're just like, come on. What's the deal here? Come on. But it evens itself out in the end. That's one of the many reasons why I love the game. But
How about this? The Royals broadcast had this discussion. Is a 2-2 count really evened up? Because I guess the
3-2 count would be even.
The play-by-play announcer said, I used to say the count gets evened up at 2-2.
Yeah.
Because it's even numbers.
Even numbers, yeah.
And then he said that people would text him and say, it's not an even count because you need 2 balls for a walk and you need 1 strike for a strikeout.
Yeah.
So it's like 3 and 2 is what you should say when it's even, but that's a full count.
But that's a full count.
So
yeah, even in terms of there's 2 of each.
Yeah.
But people can look at it and say, well, that's not really even. No, I agree with that. We're all going to go back and end on the subject of which you brought up. For everything that Major League Baseball is dealing with right now with the whole All-Star game, the biggest problem Major League Baseball has right now has nothing to do with the All-Star game. It has everything to do with not a lot of people are watching your games because you have this insanely stupid blackout rule that needs to be dropped yesterday.
Especially when you have a company taking over your regional sports in the middle of taking them over or just buying them out, and they're working on contracts with everyone as far as cable companies and streaming companies. That's when your blackout definitely needs to go away.
Well, it definitely needs to go away for another reason, and then we brought this up. Baseball is a daily grind. It is not a once-a-week sport. You have an argument to do a blackout for football because it's a once-a-week sport.
And that works against the streaming companies who are saying, why are we paying money to have your show? When really, there aren't a ton of people that watch 162 games out of the year on your regional network.
Exactly.
So it's like, that's why one of the things that's putting the streaming companies in a position to not want to pay a lot of money for these contracts. And, of course, they'll have to negotiate that. Not going to happen anytime soon. So if you're looking for Bally Sports and you're a subscriber to Hulu, YouTube TV, or any of the other live streaming services, it ain't happening this season.
Yeah, be patient. It might happen about a third of the way through the year. They're negotiating right now.
I didn't even know that Fox Sports got bought out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I was getting ready for the season, and I was like, what the heck is Bally Sports?
Yeah. Yet another imprint of the gambling aspect in sports.
Is Bally like a gambling service?
Yeah, Bally is
I've never heard.
Bally's is the huge hotel that's in Atlantic City, and then there's one that's in Las Vegas. Yeah, Bally's is a huge casino conglomerate.
It's officially the end of Sports Time Ohio.
Yeah, STO is now Bally's.
It was Fox Sports Time Ohio.
Yeah.
It wasn't Fox Ohio the Indians were on. They were on Sports Time Ohio. It just had the Fox logo now.
Yes.
And now Sports Time Ohio is completely gone.
Yeah, gone. Now it's Bally's.
Now Bally's but who did the did they just combine Fox Ohio and Fox Sports Time Ohio into one Bally Sports?
I don't know.
Because Sports Time Ohio didn't have the Cavs.
No.
That
Cavaliers
was
were
Fox Ohio.
Fox Ohio.
So, are the Cavs on Bally too?
I have no idea.
Have you watched the Cavs game recently?
I have not, and I will have to look and see if
All
they're
right.
on Bally's. All right, that'll do it for the show. Power Hour's coming up next. We'll talk tomorrow for a Tuesday edition of Running Point on ysnlive.com. Make it a great